Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
We are live for episode 428 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing, recorded live from South Dakota. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
428, Tommy. Can you believe it?
No stopping us now. We're just getting our groove.
We're just getting warmed up with this one, 428. Does that number even make sense to you if you say it out loud?
Not really.
Yeah. I just would choose not to.
Once
think
it's
about
over
it too
100, they're kind of all the same number.
Yeah, they're all the same to me, really. This episode in particular is absolutely brought to you by The Strength Co. Now with their lowest shipping prices ever on the plates. So make sure to go check those plates out. They've got the best American-made Olympic iron barbell plates in the game. I mean, I think that's a hands down. That's not hyperbole or anything like that. They are the best plates. You're not going to find anything better, in my humble, honest opinion. Check them out at thestrength.co. They got the Hondus, 45s, 35s, of course, 25s, 10s, 5s, 2.5s, even 1 1/4s. Just you want to dip your toes in the water of the Strength Co plate, buy some of the little guys in there and add to your PRs 2.5 pounds at a time, 1 1/4 on each side of the barbell. Check them out at thestrength.co. Much, much more from the Strength Co later this episode.
And this episode is also brought to you by Swisslink. Since 1995, Swisslink has been importing military-issue goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. We are now well into summer. Now that it is June, I think it's things are getting a little hot in here.
It's a heat wave.
And when I head on over to Swisslink and I go to the clothing selection, of course, the first spot I go is lower body. And then there's a little shorts tab in there. And when I go to shorts, we have Austrian military spandex. We have Italian chinos. We have British desert combat shorts. And we also have some World War II reproduction shorts. Man, I didn't even know they allowed shorts in the military. Are you aware of this, Tanner?
Well, the only ones we got was our PT uniform, our physical training uniform.
Not a very fashionable branch you were in.
Shorts, no.
Yeah. So if you need to get outfitted with some of the finest military surplus, head on over to Swisslink. They got a ton of stuff, not just shorts. They got British sleeping bags. They got Romanian rucksacks. They got Slovakian woodland M97 field parkas and tons of stuff that you probably could never even think of. And I got to say, the prices are way more affordable than you would ever think, too. This stuff is...
I just ordered from Swisslink today.
What did you get? Let's hear it. A mosquito net?
I bought a 10-liter fuel can, Wavian fuel can, and I used discount code Massenomics to save. And if your order is over $75, there's free shipping. But after I used my discount code, it brought the order under $75. So then I just went and I had to find another item to add to the cart to work the system. So because I wanted the discount code Massenomics and the free shipping both. And I am not too proud to
toot your own horn.
To add something to the cart just to hit the number.
Did you get this yellow can that I'm seeing here?
I got it in black.
Oh,
actually.
Black one, huh? Let me
Yeah,
see.
you got to look at all options.
I see. Yeah. I see. There's lots of colors. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black. Okay. Is this a little truck add-on?
This is really just actually I needed a new gas can. The one I have sucks, and I've been doing everything I can not to spill out of the broken spout one I've had for the last 3 years, and I'm finally like, I want a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. I did get the black because if I decide to, they make mounting brackets for it, and if I decided to add it into the pickup as like a little fuel reserve tank sort of situation.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Let me finish up this ad read. So all of that great stuff is brought to you by Swisslink. Head on over to swisslink.com, and while you're there, make sure to use code MASS at checkout, and you will save 15% on your next order. That's swisslink.com, code MASS, M-A-S-S, will save you 15%. Thank you, Swisslink. Talking about all these, your truck there, I was kind of doing truck guy stuff yesterday, Tanner.
Oh, go on.
We have a 2020 Tahoe. It's no C10 truck, but the battery had gone bad on it. And it went bad in a hurry. So I had to replace that thing, and that is a pain in the ass. I'll say
Is it hard to get to the
They don't
battery,
make it
though?
like they used to, I'm sure, getting that battery out. You have to remove several brackets, and then there's almost like a wiring harness on top of the battery, and then the procedure of removing the battery out is like this special twist, tip, lift, and then of course there's no handle on the battery either.
It's like a Chinese finger trap.
It was like a Tommy trap.
And the battery weighs like 45 pounds.
And then you're reaching over the edge of the vehicle, and you're trying not to like smash it against other stuff. Thank God for YouTube though. Like I would never got it without YouTube, but I did get it figured out, got it put in, and I felt like a pretty certified mechanic after that was done.
Yeah. At least in the upper Midwest, a lot of people just associate batteries dying from the cold. It's very common. You parked it out in the cold for a long time.
And you hear it, those cold
a waning
starts.
battery. A battery that's on its way out is going to definitely get on its way out if you put in the extreme cold for very long. But, which we don't experience as many months out of the year, but the extreme heat is just as hard on batteries too.
Is it?
So that, I mean, actually, I don't know if that phrase is exactly correct, that it's just as hard, but I know that extreme heat will also like zap a battery pretty bad too.
Yeah, I could see that.
So maybe
Extreme
that, and it
temperatures
has
in
been
general.
hot.
It has been, yeah.
90s today, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy humid too. Like, did you guys get that storm that came through?
It did rain in the middle of the night last night, but I didn't.
Middle of day
wake
today.
up
We
to
got
it. Oh,
like
no,
it
I don't
was
think
raining
it didn't.
hard. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
No, we did not.
I also, Tanner, there's a pretty big Cars and Coffee monthly car show here in town. And
Is Jerry Seinfeld involved?
he was not there. No, that's
People
riding
in
in cars.
cars.
What's that? Riding in cars with comedians or whatever.
Yeah.
I convinced my dad to come to this one because I was hyping it up for him, and he was pretty impressed. There was quite a few C10 trucks at this. Now that
Was
actually,
there?
in the past, I usually get more.
You didn't care.
I get more drawn towards
Yeah.
the European stuff and the stuff from like maybe the 80s on up.
Yep.
And so I've kind of always just glossed over more of the muscle car, American 70s and older. And when my dad was with, that's what he's concerned about. And once I really stopped to look, I'm like, actually, there's a fair number of C10 trucks here. Some of them were done really nice. Like they have the wood bed and everything. Like, and then they have like the upholstery's been completely redone too. And, and then just how everyone does the dash, some people do, like you were talking about, they do like, it's just actual, I don't know if it's actually stock, but it just looks like original stock gauges.
Yeah, it looks bone stock.
Yes. And then some look like, this just looks
there's 1,000 different ways to skin the cat.
There is
actually
but like
weird. You got to make decisions when you're going along because you're like, am I going for it to look stock or am I going it to look retro modded after stock, or do I want this to just be crazy?
Yeah,
like
the ones I like the most, the where it's like it feels like a classic, but there's like a modern twist here. Like those are actually the ones that I did once we got in them. I thought those were the best ones.
Yeah, because some are so modernized that it gets confusing. You're like, okay. I mean, it's cool too. It's just
it
a
is
different,
cool. It's just like, okay, yeah, this is like an LS swap truck. The whole thing's different. It's like, I guess the body was from a C10 Chevy.
Yeah,
like outside of that, nothing is C10 here.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
So that's monthly.
They do it once a month. Yeah, I think I didn't hear the account for this one, but last month there was 750 cars in the show. So they got a pretty big turnout for it.
The a community like Western Northeast South Dakota, it's very, I mean, compared to large places, it's very small, but like I would say it, how it's like mid-sized in a way that there's like a populace of people, but like you kind of still know everyone almost, but you don't, of course, because there's like 30,000 people.
You're only like 1 or 2 degrees separated from everyone.
Right. And, or at least you happen to see the same 100 people all the time for whatever reason. But in the vintage vehicle community, like you really start to see the same people all the time. And like I've gotten to be friends with a few other people even just in town here that have C10 pickups, because like when you see them, it's like, we just passed each other on the road for like the 3rd time in a month. Like
we know each other.
It's like, and it's kind of like, I want to talk to you and you want to like, and turns like I have a neighbor that's just like 2 blocks to the one direction of me, and we got out, or we were driving by in our pickup one night, and they had a little kid getting out, like they were just pulling into their driveway, and I knew he lived there because we had passed, gone by each other several times, and finally we had the opportunity to stop and compare, do C10 notes, and showed me everything, and it was actually really helpful because his is considerably newer. His is like an 80s, and it's like slammed and lowered, and it's a really short box, and it looks really cool. But he has the same engine block, the same transmission, the same carburetor that I have, and a lot of transmission, carb, and engine block are all exactly the same. So I'm like, and he knows more about it than I do. And
I got a
he's
resource.
helpful. So I'm like, so I'm like, oh, this is a really good resource that's here just 2 blocks down that knows more about this than I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And with my very limited knowledge, it's good to have resources in the
whenever you get in a pinch.
Yes, it is. I cannot overvalue how helpful a good resource of someone that knows more than I do is.
Mm-hmm.
Because YouTube will get you a long ways, but sometimes it's really nice to just have someone to like bounce something off,
or
of.
just to tell you, like,
this
am
what
I
you think
actually
it
doing
is?
this right? Like, before I go down this road, am I crazy?
Right. Like, is this I'm diagnosing what I think the issue is. Is that what you think the issue is? And like sometimes it's like, no. It's like, check this first.
That was actually a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yes. There is something I wanted to talk about related to that. I'll save it though. The music setting thing actually ties into this.
This is
whole
like
thing,
week
but
number 3 now.
Yeah, but there's some other things I wanted to make sure we talked about first.
Okay.
Number one, this weekend, so it's just 3 days away from us right now. We have the Throwdown in Watertown, powered by Build Fast Formula. So we'll be lifting there in the Build Fast Formula HQ in just a few days here.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Sounds like there should be a handful of crew around there lifting with us.
A couple of us, 3 of us so far.
3 of
have
you
RP10 bench days.
Yeah. Well, you all are on Juggernaut, and you all have the same
we all picked the
testing
same imaginary date out in the middle of summer. So, yeah, it does kind of make sense, actually.
Yeah. And then it sounded like Nate would be deadlifting, and I'll be deadlifting. So there'll at least be a couple of us deadlifting, too. And I'm looking forward to that. That should be fun.
I'm too. It's not too often I get to train in a group anymore. So,
yeah. And I've
got the glory days.
Got a barbell to bring you along with I don't know, whatever. I'm bringing a log for Nathan. He bought we got that new log in the gym.
Oh, did he buy the old one?
Tim's? He bought the old one, so I'm bringing that.
That's a good
also.
log though, still.
Yeah, it's good. It's a Titan log. It's good. It's good. Mm-hmm. Serves its purpose well. And maybe I'll bring a couple Strength Co. Hondus with just in case. Just to throw them on the bar if needed.
Not a bad idea.
And who knows? Maybe I'll just bring a whole quiver full of Texas Power bars to.
That's also not a bad idea.
Everyone can pick their poison. Did you see? I got some gym equipment that popped in here just today.
It looked like a box of 2 boxes of if I had to guess, I would say there's a 45 in each one, but I don't know what that is. Are these York 45s? I couldn't think of any reason you'd have 45s.
Colt 45 and 2 zigzags.
Oh, okay, Afro man. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, I haven't actually even opened the box. I did got them off the ground in my garage and put them in the back of my pickup truck, and haven't opened them yet. But yes, it is. I've mentioned it before. I have the 1 pair of vintage York deep dish in the gym that are mounted on the wall next to like the 15 horizontal barbell storage that's on the wall in between the benches. And I've been wanting to put another post up on the opposing side and put a pair up there. So I do have that pair of vintage York deep dish plates.
Were these very hard to track down?
They were very hard to track down. The way I got to track these down is, I don't know if you remember the conversation at Home Gym Con when there was a guy there that got me the Mac power, and he said, "Hey, here's my friend.
Yes.
He might have a pair of vintage York deep
That was
dish,
in front of the AbMat booth.
Yeah,
I cannot remember their name. I can picture them and everything. I just cannot remember their names.
Yeah, the guy that he introduced me to, AP, he got me. He had a pair here finally. So
that's awesome.
I got those purchased.
So where did those come from?
Midwest. So I think it was
they-
like Indiana.
okay.
I think it was Indiana,
Okay. Yep.
something like that. So haven't even opened yet, but I'm excited to bust those out and get them on the wall. And if anyone's wondering, they were not cheap.
I was going to say, you don't have to go into details, but was pricing
Yeah.
similar to the last time?
It was similar to last
Yeah.
time. I would say the pricing is not going down.
Yeah.
I was actually talking about this with Big Keith just earlier today, and it used to be not long ago at all. It was like, oh, a pair of York deep dish unmarked is $1,000 plus shipping,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not the case anymore. Like you can't find them for $1,000
Really?
anymore. Nobody's selling them for that. Like if someone sold them for $1,000, they'd be gone in 1 second. Honestly.
Wow. So do you think it's because that many more people are into it now that it's putting the demand up that high?
That's got to be part of it. I mean, it is a supply and demand thing for sure.
It is, but I mean, they're old. So like, of course there's going to be a little bit of, they just disappear because they're old and some people
Yeah.
don't know what they are. But
Right.
also though,
If someone found a warehouse full of 1,000 pairs of them tomorrow, I would imagine the price would, it wouldn't take that many new pairs under the market. Like if there was 1,000 new, not new because new is not,
but like a gym clothes that had 1,000
Right.
of these and they flooded the market.
And I do wonder what that would do. That'd be, I don't want the price of mine to tank per se,
Yeah.
although I don't actually care that much. Like I
Right.
just, at this point, I'm not trying to make money on them. I'm not trying to ever sell them really. Like
If
I
you're
just
trying to make
wanted
money,
them.
it's a pretty poor investment in the long run.
Right,
really.
right. Yeah. It's like a stupid way to go about it,
Yeah,
probably.
that's what yes.
I mean, it's money making if you find someone that doesn't know what they have and they sell you to them for $1 a pound.
Yeah.
And you buy them for 90 and sell them for 10 times that much. That's
Yeah.
money making, but that's not what I'm doing, obviously. But yeah, the price on them does not. It is going up, like actually significant, like 10, 20% over the last year. I would say it's probably gone up 20 to 30% on average over the last year on
Yeah.
those, which is pretty significant.
That's what Keith's note here says. The the Facebook groups merging and growing is blowing up the vintage market. I
Yeah.
mean, that makes sense to me. You're getting that many more
Yeah.
eyes on this, so that drives up demand then.
Yeah. So I am excited to get those, not from like a utility perspective necessarily in the gym,
But like as a decoration perspective.
that's a decorate. It's a really expensive decoration collector's piece, honestly. Like that is exactly what it is. It's an absurdly, stupidly expensive decoration to put on the wall.
But it's a cool one at that.
It is cool. It is cool. If you're at all interested in the whole thing, it is really cool. Like you don't have to even know that well to just like the ones that are there now. You could know nothing about it, and you just look at those and be like, those look different. Like those
Just
are
look at 'em
like
and say,
apparently
"Hell
really
yeah."
old. It'd be like, dudes will see these vintage York plates and just be like, hell yeah.
There's your meme for when that other ones are hanging on
Yes.
the wall.
Yes, that's good. And then I've been amassing some more barbells too over like a lot of barbells around. Got the Texas Cross bar.
Yeah.
That was in red Sierra coat, a red.
That's a nice finish,
on that
isn't
one.
it?
Cool bar, and then got the a new Texas deadlift bar in the black zinc finish.
If people are confused, they might think it's some reseller shop for Texas bars. This is some type of retail shop where I can try out and buy Texas bars.
There is so many bars. I thought there's a lot of bars there. Yeah. So Throwdown in Watertown, though, excited for the lift, and we are going to get some content made out of that. So look forward to maybe 2 tree videos coming out of that on our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we want to go into great detail on what it is, but this episode will come out on, of course, Monday the 17th. And on the 20th, so that'll be the Thursday following this coming out, there is a little Massenomics drop coming out.
Is that the day we decided? I forgot already.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
So that would be like a week from tomorrow as we sit here recording, I think. So stay tuned.
Sprinkled a little special sauce into this one.
Yeah.
I think
There's,
people are going to be pretty excited for it.
I think so. I got for all the people concerned about what blank we're using, they got something for you guys, and there's I guess there's a little bit of a collaboration sorts on in there. I wouldn't say collaboration maybe exactly like what you've thought of in our other collaborations.
Maybe you could say we've inverted the collaboration game.
Yes. 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 Yes, exactly. So I am very excited for this drop, though, honestly. I think it's going to be a lot of, I think there's going to be a lot of Massenomics and Massenomics adjacent that are going to be pretty excited about this drop.
I think so, too.
More on that next week, though, as we
don't want to spill
as
the
you get
beans.
to actually see what's out there on it. Do we have time to talk about another thing?
Do you have a can?
Yeah, let's do a can. What do you got over there?
I got a lemon lime Waterloo.
Oh, I got a Waterloo too.
Oh, one of them.
Waterloo kind of day over
green
here.
or something?
No, this one's the tropical fruit. I had this like a month ago or something on here.
Yep.
And I said it kind of tastes like Hawaiian Punch. I want to see if that's still true. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, lemon lime is still good too. Every
Waterloo really packs the flavor in.
They do,
can, doesn't it?
Real wallop in there.
Do you think that as a general rule that Waterloo packs more flavor in?
I think so. I think they're flavor wise one of the strongest ones.
Yeah. How do they do that?
I don't know. Those crazy bastards over there. Who knows what they're
jamming
smoking.
into this can? You know what a real the move would be? Make one of these natural flavored 0-calorie drinks, but actually just put a ton of sugar in it. And be like, oh no, it's 0 calories.
I think I would actually just find that off-putting though. Like, there's no way you can't not taste that.
Right. That's true. We for our supporting members segment this week. This will be a surprise to Tommy, but I had a little surprise planned. We talked about doing this before about calling up a crew member and putting them on a 60-second clock for supporting our supporting members.
Talked about that, yeah.
And then that's the segment for the week is they get their 60 seconds.
Their spotlight.
We can chat with them or whatever they may or may not want to talk about. So how do you feel about trying that out this week, Tommy?
I mean, I'm not ready for it, but if you are, shoot.
Yeah, so we're gonna actually let on Big Jeff this week.
Oh, my name is Jeff.
Yeah. So what's better? We can do either one. Is it a pain in the ass to let him off of mute and then like everyone gets off of mute and it's a whole zoo? Because I can just call him from my phone. We wouldn't have video.
No,
of
I
him.
can ask just to mute him. Do you want me
You
to
can
just unmute him?
Yeah, can you just unmute Jeff though?
Actually, can you? Because then I have to make 2 different recordings on Zoom.
Right. And it's just going to be 60 seconds.
Yeah,
so we don't
just
have to
do them
have
on
the
your
video.
phone. 60 seconds.
Okay.
Do them on your phone. Yeah.
Okay, Big Jeff, I think you're probably listening there, so we're gonna try and give Big Jeff a call here if I can boot up the old Selly machine. And so this is supporting our supporting members. It's a segment we do. It's relatively new to the podcast, where we like to give back to those that give to us. And this week we're doing something special, like I've been saying here, where we're actually gonna we're actually gonna just give him the full spotlight, right?
That's right.
Okay. I won't say Jeff's number out loud as I'm typing it, but
You're just mouthing it so everyone can
Yeah.
see.
only those that lip read will be able to tell. We'll see if this works. I'm get a little rusty on this using my phone to call people.
Yeah,
Can
you just gotta-
can you hear that at all?
Not yet, but
Gentlemen,
clear as day.
You can, Tommy. You got Big Jeff. In
I
your
got Big
ears?
Jeff in my ears.
Big Jeff. It looks like we can both hear you. How's it going?
it's going good. Just in prep mode for Lift Hard, Lift Easy too.
You know what they say? You can't hold anything back now, can you? We're just over 5 weeks out.
Absolutely not. Have not been holding back. Wouldn't even think of it.
Great.
That's good.
We kind of sprung this on you last minute, but you have heard us maybe mention it before. We thought it'd be fun if we gave, one of the crew members a little spotlight and give them a chance to say anything that they might have to say. So
Before Jeff is allowed to talk, though, I want to say something, and I like to think that Jeff is on the line because he heard Tanner's comparison to the stock market as gambling, and he's just
Well,
been
did you see Jeff made a
Yes,
reel
that's
about
what I'm
that,
saying.
yeah.
He's just been so boiling mad for 7 straight days that he has to clear the air.
Is that right, Jeff?
That's right. Yeah, that was something. That's funny. I I made a post where I'd written about that a little while back because it is a common analogy, and I like to reframe it a little bit.
Well, I kind of backtracked on it once we talked about it more then too. I did clarify that that's not a hard stance I have, that they are.
You did, but then you hit us with Dave Ramsey today, so I really don't know where this is going.
Got to keep all the financial people guessing. Jeff, we're going to put you on the 60-second shot clock. I mean, we can certainly interject in there, but what I really want to do is be able to cut you off at 60 seconds. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most, is cutting the person off like in the middle of a sentence.
Right.
So we're going to start it right now. Jeff, what is it that you've got going on?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on this first attempt at the supporting our members guest spot. And as you know, I have my own business, so I wrote a little ad that I think will resonate with the Massenomics faithful. In 2021, after 17 years in the financial industry, Jeff McDermott launched Create Wealth Financial Planning to address the known issues in personal financial planning. Jeff works with families and young professionals to create an ideal financial plan for wealth accumulators, communicating complex financial topics in language that is smooth and easy to grip. So give me your personal financial weak points and challenges, and we will create a financial plan together that's as strong as you are to break through your financial plateau. And you know what's great? There are no minimum asset levels to work with Jeff. So whether you need an 80-20 investment portfolio or a full blitz on your cash flow planning, if you're looking for a quality financial plan at uncompromised prices, head to my website, createwealthfp.com. That's createwealthfp.com, or find me on Instagram at Dollars and Deadlifts. Please note, this is only for United States residents where I am properly licensed. So that, I hope, will resonate with the Massenomics faithful.
Excellent, Jeff. That's 60 seconds. You did it. That was that was great, actually, is what I would say about that. And yeah, I mean, a service utilized by other Massenomics supporting members. I know that to be the case, and only good things that they say. So. What's the website again, Jeff? One more time. Mention it one more time.
CreateWealthFP.com. You can actually schedule an intro right on the homepage, which is a Tommy D Creative website.
I was just gonna say, one hell of a good looking website that I have checked it out myself before, even. So really nice, well done website.
I look forward to meeting everybody in July.
All right, thanks, Jeff. See you later.
Thanks, Jeff. Man, I gotta say that ad read was locked and loaded. That was ready to go, Tanner.
I gave Jeff about, like, I was finalizing that as you and I were starting to like record.
Oh, really? Oh, I
So
thought
that's
maybe you
about how
gave
much
like a week heads up. That's been like a big homework project.
I
Maybe
think
he's
maybe
been
that's
working on that behind the scenes for years.
I think
now.
maybe that's the play, is that give people no more than like 30 minutes notice, so
Yeah,
that way
I like that.
they can't. But
No, that was good. He just kept sprinkling all those Easter eggs in there. I was impressed. That was really good.
He really did come in locked and loaded for that one, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Well, he's a bit of a planner, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. He knows his stuff,
Financial and otherwise.
That's right.
I mentioned Build Fast Formula, the throwdown in Watertown. It's going to be powered by Build Fast Formula. Also, they've got a Father's Day Blitz sale going on, where you get a free Blitzer bottle with all orders over $75. $75 or more, you get the free Blitzer bottle. You can build smart, build strong, build fast with our friends over there in Watertown, South Dakota. I think they're going to have some Build Fast Formula samples out for us this weekend. So if you're fortunate enough to come, you get to get your hands on some of that. If not, just head over to buildfastformula.com. That's where you can buy the Vaso Blitz, Full Blitz, 80-20 Protein, Blitz 3D, Drink Hack, Glyco Hack. Check out all of them. If you use discount code Massenomics, saves you 10% on any order there. You sign up for a subscription model, a recurring subscription on any of those products, you get another 10% off, 20% off at buildfastformula.com.
And this episode is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. It's no secret that Texas Power Bars have been some of our favorite bars since we've gotten into the powerlifting scene basically decades ago, almost lifetimes ago at this point. You can rely on Texas Power Bars to give you a great bar at an affordable price, especially compared to some of the other bars on the market. Our personal favorites include the original Texas Power Bar, the Texas Deadlift Bar, the Texas Squat Bar, both bars that you will find in the upcoming Lift Hard Live Easy Classic Part 2 meet. And if you need a little twist on one of the classics, there's also the 29 millimeter Texas Power Bar. So if you'd like to pick up a Texas Power Bar for yourself and see what the legend Buddy Caps is all about, head on over to TexasPowerBars.com. And while you're there, tell Massenomics sent you. Thank you, Texas Power Bars.
Well, thanks, TPB. Is our guest in the building yet? Or we could always talk about something else?
No, he's not yet.
He's probably busy watching the Celtics game.
Probably tied up. Oh, Tanner, right before this, I was a little ahead of schedule tonight with the kids. Got them in bed nice and early. And so I took the dog for a quick walk around the block. And I'm coming up, it's kind of a hill coming up to my house a little bit. And there's something, I come around the corner, and there's like something on the road. I'm like, what is that? And I get closer, and it is like a giant turtle. And
really,
I don't see, I mean, you see like snapping turtles and stuff around, on golf courses or wherever, like you see them in places.
Well,
but
snapping turtles.
Yeah, snapping turtle. This was a snapping turtle though, but it was probably, I don't know, a foot and a half across. It was big. Yeah. And part of me is like, you're on a somewhat busy road here, man. I hope you don't get ran over. So I'm kind of standing there looking at it. And it was just like in its shell, only its head was out. It was just sort of chilling. Yeah. And Bernie's going crazy. Like, Bernie thinks he's going to play with this thing. I'm like, no, this thing will like bite your face off, Bernie, if you
snapping
get close
turtles are nothing to be trifled
with. No,
they're
not. No,
that
not at all.
Been around a snapping turtle before. I would not mess with a snapping turtle.
No, especially
they will
when
break like people's arms and shit.
Yeah, and I'd never seen one in person. Like, I know they can get really big, but I've never seen one in person that big before. And so I stood there for a little bit, like thinking, just walk, buddy. Start walking across the road. And it just got up on its legs and it just walked. I didn't know turtles could even move. It wasn't like running, but I didn't know turtles could move that fast.
Yeah.
And I was like taken aback. I just didn't know something like that was to be seen around here. It was fairly impressive.
Yeah, I think usually the little ones you see around here, I don't know if those are box turtles. I was just going to Google.
Yeah,
box
is it
turtle.
that or is it like a painted turtle or something? Or
that could be it too. Maybe that's what it is. That could be. You see those all the time. Like if you go to like Wiley Beach.
Yeah, that's
example,
okay. Yeah,
like,
painted turtle is one of them. Yeah.
But yeah, I have, like being around farms and stuff, and like the James River would go through here, and like there are really big snapping turtles around there sometimes. And my policy has always been to stay very far away from them because they YouTube videos. I'm sure there's something out there where people like mess with snapping turtles. And,
wasn't the thing is you could always stick a broomstick by it and they would just snap it
in half.
And I was even like the tail. This thing probably had a tail that was like 8 inches long. I just had never seen that
like
before.
A freaking dinosaur.
It looks like it. It looks like when you go to the zoo and you see these big ass tortoises. Except this was like at first I was wondering, is this someone's pet that got out of their house? But I mean, if you're letting a turtle escape your house, you've also done a lot of things wrong before then. So,
oh no, he's getting away. What is that? Is that Austin Powers? Where it's like somebody's or it's like going to get run over by a
the steamroller.
The steamroller. Yeah,
stop.
right.
He just keeps screaming, and he's like, husband's like, move, and the guy won't move. Move.
Yeah.
Our guest has arrived.
Okay, should we?
As much as I don't want to stop turtle talk here.
Yeah, we'll get back to more turtles later.
An empty chair.
A chair. Finally, we get this chair on. Oh, puffy coat tee.
Are we live?
We are live with the puffy coat tee. Oh.
Say something now.
Can you hear us?
There it is. See, that's the problem when you have a podcast mixing board, but usually someone else runs it because you don't know how to run it yourself.
Mm-hmm. You know what you're doing over there. Does it feel like you're sitting on an island over there by yourself like that? Or
yeah, it feels a little weird.
Just running it solo.
Yeah. What'd you just crack into there? It looks like you just opened a crispy can.
Yeah, it's a Kirkland sparkling water grapefruit ever since we found out we're having a girl, we're just drinking grapefruit around this house.
Yeah. So that's big news right there since the last time we've had you on the podcast. This is for anyone that doesn't know, it's Big Grant, owner of the Strength Co. Third time guest of the Massenomics podcast.
Three-peat.
Back to back champs.
World War champs, isn't that the thing? So you're getting to have a baby over there, huh?
Yeah, October 16th is the due date. So it's coming quick.
See, we talk to each other all the time, all of us do. So none of this stuff is like we're not like
there's not like a whole lot of catching up we have to do. Not a whole lot of formalities that really need to happen.
So, but we're gonna pretend, right?
We're doing
that's
this
what
for
I'm
the
just wondering. Like,
audience.
do we just pretend that this is new news so it can like other people can
Hey,
experience
old son
the
of
new
a gun,
news?
what have you been up to over there?
Grant's having a baby. Crazy. Hadn't heard. You're not gonna comment on my shirt?
Oh, I
maybe you
was
didn't
before
hear
you
him.
could hear. You couldn't hear. That was the first thing I said. I was like, it's puffy coat shirt.
Okay, good.
We should have worn the puffy coat tee when we had Coop on, shouldn't we?
I was blown missed opportunity there.
Yeah, it probably would have been good, but that's okay. I thought he was a great guest.
It's almost like when you make YouTube content for a living and you get paid for it, you kind of figure out how to just operate on a camera and be entertaining, right?
I thought he did a good job.
He was really good though, honestly. Yeah. Like, I mean, we've talked about it before too. But he kind of hit a home run, I would say.
Knocked it out of the park.
To use a baseball analogy, right, while the Celtics are playing instead of a basketball. It's like he hit a 3 from 30 feet deep is what I would say.
You talking about Kyrie Irving?
Yeah.
Whoa, they're already down 15.
Yeah,
This is not looking too hot.
Looks like you're okay to podcast with us. I don't think you're going to miss a nail-biting end of the game. They're up by 15 right now at the end of the third quarter.
Felt pretty good when I closed the door.
Yeah. I'll keep you updated. If it gets really close, we can pause the show and you can watch into the game. For anyone that doesn't know, big Boston sports guy, huh?
Huge, yeah. I don't know why, but when you grow up in South Carolina, it's like, you know how you guys do all the Minnesota teams because there's nothing in South Dakota? That's South Carolina. There's no pro sports teams. So college ball matters. And then my dad's family was all in Boston. So like my only exposure to pro sports was Boston. So that's what I got stuck with. What a terrible thing to be stuck with.
Yeah, jeez. Really played your cards right on that one.
Yeah, kind of tired of winning over here.
What part of the South Carolina are you coming to us from? What would you describe it as? What region?
The upstate. Yeah, the beautiful upstate. Yeah. Where a river runs through it.
Had you, I had brought to my attention that, upstate isn't something that's used once you head west a little ways. That term isn't used much. Are you familiar with that either?
No, I'm not.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm referencing here?
No.
On the podcast, I don't know, was that Tanner, a week or two ago, something like that?
It might, maybe even a month, I don't know.
I was saying, Grant always refers to himself being in upstate South Carolina. I'm like, have you ever heard anyone refer to upstate South Dakota or upstate North Dakota or even upstate Minnesota? He's like, no, I've never heard that term used ever. And so somewhere as you head west of South Carolina, that phrase just phases out.
It's funny. I've actually never heard of that except in South Carolina. And I think it's like twofold. One, it's the upper part of the state, but also as you go up in the state, you get closer to the mountains and you go up in elevation. I've never thought of this until right now. I didn't think I was being funny. I just was like, this region is known as upstate South Carolina. So I just said it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we didn't even take it as funny, but it's just like we never.
No, and
that's not something people say.
Yeah, like
you
said, like
every
every
so
episode.
it's not funny, Tanner.
You said it like every
now it's
episode.
funny
And I
that
never
we're
thought
making a deal
twice.
out of it. Yeah.
I never thought twice until I'm like, you know what? I've never heard the phrase upstate South Dakota, which is very much where Aberdeen would be, upstate South Dakota. But yeah, that just doesn't exist around here.
There you go.
Regional
Do
dialect.
you feel like before you knew Tommy and I and knew about Massenomics, do you feel like you really knew the difference between North Dakota and South Dakota?
No, definitely not. But I do feel like was more aware than 99% of your listeners that are not from North Carolina or South Carolina, because it's a big thing here. Like it's a big thing. So I feel like I would have known more, but no, I didn't know anything. I was like, the Dakotas, where is that? I can't believe I'm going there for my wedding anniversary this year.
My favorite story about that is always, where we're at, no one's here, so no one knows the difference between North Dakota and South Dakota. It's always like, how do people not know the difference? How is that? And then we were at the Arnold and we see Jen Thompson. We're like, we have to introduce you to Jen. And you're like, oh, we're like, she lives in one of the Carolinas. You're like, well, what one? We're like, I actually don't know. They're kind of the same thing to me.
The same as you, right? It's got to be, right?
And then I realized, people just actually don't know about things where they're not from.
Tanner definitely said she was from South Carolina.
Yeah.
It is North Carolina, though, isn't it?
It's North Carolina, yeah. And it's living in the upstate. I'm actually it depends which way you go, but I could cross the line in probably 40 minutes.
Oh.
And she's actually relatively close to me. She's probably within an hour and a half.
Oh, that's not
I mean, like that's half as far as Tommy and I are away from each other.
Yeah.
That's how far we're going for the Watertown Throwdown this weekend.
The Throwdown in Watertown.
Oh, is that this weekend?
Yeah, that's Saturday.
What a great name. You guys get like a PR
You like that name that we came
you?
up with, the Throwdown in Watertown?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Grant might have thrown that one out there after we on the podcast.
I don't think
what the name should be.
I don't think I threw it out. I think I threw it down.
You threw it down in Watertown.
Oh man, that's this weekend.
Yep, we got a
fast.
Throwdown. You don't want to come in June before you come in July, do you?
I mean, I do, but I can't. So
well, there's a lot of guys not holding anything back up here, so it's going to be quite the sight to behold.
You are coming in July, though. Your second trip in 2 years, and second trip in as many years to Western Northeast South Dakota.
Yeah, I think so. I'll be 36 in August, and I think sometime in my early between 30 and 32, I did a thing like, how many states have you been to? And there was 6 I hadn't been to, and South Dakota and North Dakota were 2 of them. And if you told me at that moment that I did that, that you're going to go to South Dakota back-to-back years in July, I wouldn't have believed you.
But for your trip,
to.
did I hear, are you starting out west this time? Are you doing that thing or not?
Yeah, well, west.
Are you going to the hills?
Yeah, Rapid City.
Yeah.
The Black Hills, as us locals say in the southern states.
Yes.
Yeah. So we land in Rapid City on Friday morning. No, Thursday morning. Thursday morning we land in Rapid City, and Big Connor's gonna fly in, and we're gonna do whatever people do in the Deadwood area. I'm open to suggestions. I always ask Tanner for them, and he only talks to me if it's content. Tanner, he never talks to me when I'm like, "Hey, I'm bringing my wife, my pregnant wife. What should I do?" Silence. Hey, should I post this meme? Yes. So I think we get in Thursday, and then we're going to hang out Friday, then drive to Aberdeen, and then be ready.
Sweet. Well, that'll
and
be
then flying out of Crew Falls.
What's your number? What's your actually, I talked to Grant one day and I said, well, maybe I should come up with a Mount Rushmore of things you should do in the Black Hills. And I'm like, well, number 1, Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. You do need to do that while you're out there.
And then I said, Deadwood in general, I could almost just lump that as just one thing.
Yeah.
Kind of almost but it's
is.
or do you say the specific parts of Deadwood? Because I said what I like is you can hike up to Wild Bill's gravesite, which is really cool.
See, I've actually never done that before.
It is really cool.
Yeah,
because there's a ton of shit around it, and it's cool.
I would say that, and then also depending on how much time you got, going by Sylvan Lake's pretty cool too. That's
Sylvan Lake.
Yeah, it's just an old. They just dammed up it's a really cool lake. I mean, I think isn't it all dammed up, Tanner? Is that how it was?
Where do you get the damn bait around here?
Depending on where you drive out there, it involves a lot of driving. So just depending on how your day works out, though.
Well, actually, I told him one of the things you brought up there, I almost said the driving is just actually part of it there because when you're driving through the Black Hills, it's awesome. It's just that's why the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is there in part because all the motorcycles go and they just get to drive around the Black Hills.
Sturgis is in the Black Hills.
Yeah, when you come back headed east,
you'll go through Sturgis.
Sturgis is just on the northeast edge of the Black Hills basically, and you'll drive through Sturgis on your way to Aberdeen. I mean, just leaving the Black Hills, you'll come through Sturgis.
Yeah.
So there must be something I need to stop at in Sturgis then.
I don't know if
Not
hardly
really.
any of the bars are really even
Yeah,
open other than that week of the year, because you'd say like you stop at the Full Throttle Saloon or the Broken Spoke Saloon, but none of those places are even open.
Yeah, they're open just for Sturgis. Did I say Sylvan Lake? Is that what I said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That one is cool because it's a drive. You go on like this crazy drive. Like they have, tunnels that they've made that are like one-way roads for your
Right,
car
that is
through the
cool, yeah,
rocks.
yeah.
And then once you get to the top of this mountain, there's this little lake up there. So that one's a really cool drive too. Yeah, we don't need to give you the.
Is that like super out of the way? Sounds like everything's out of the way in South Dakota.
it's a pretty big area here.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about driving in South Dakota is pretty relative because you're also driving to Aberdeen, and that's going to be like a 6-hour drive, depending on where you leave from.
Six and a half.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's
plus you lose an hour on the.
and yeah, you
on the
lose
way
an hour
back,
with the
too.
time change too, so it's actually 7.5. And
Killer.
then you're gonna need to stop for gas, and also like you're out actually in the middle of nowhere, so you got to make sure you plan that right. It's
So I think the way we got to plan is we land in Rapid City at like 11, and I think Connor lands at like 2, which is kind of a pain because my initial thought was like leave, go see Mount Rushmore, check it off. But then I'm like, well, then Connor's going to want to land
I would
and
actually
be
say-
like, I also want to see Mount Rushmore.
yeah, it's not terrible though because you guys can just go into Rapid. Like there's stuff in Rapid if you go like downtown Rapid and just look around a little bit for an hour or so and then go get him. So that's not like the worst thing, but
Do you know about the picture we're taking, Tommy?
no, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know if you know this, and I have no context of this, but like maybe someone years ago with their wife went into downtown Deadwood and took a photo dressed in Western attire, black and white, with a musket. I mean, I don't know if Mary listens, so I don't want to tell too much.
She doesn't.
Maybe that photo was sent to me, and I thought, you know what makes this photo better? A 7-month pregnant wife.
Yep.
We have to go redo this. So when people ask me, what are you doing this summer? I say, I'm going to South Dakota to take our pregnancy photos.
But you know the kind of picture, the old timey Deadwood pictures that
old-time
everyone
West
gets.
ones. Yep. Yeah, man, you got to do it up. My wife always wants to do those. She thinks it'd be so fun, and it just never works out for us to do.
Yeah, we did one that one time, and I loved it. I was always
I love it.
proponent.
I
to
love it. It's my favorite photo of you.
When you get to like pick your wardrobe, there's a lot of different choices. The only downside is it's 100 degrees, and then you're like throwing on these sweaty old rags on top of it, but it's worth it. The photo
excited.
lasts forever.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that one's, how old's that one? 10 years?
Yeah, it's like 10 years old. Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, it looks like it's 100 years old, but it's only 10.
150,
Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to get to experience a lot more of South Dakota this year. I could say what part are you most looking forward to? I mean, maybe it's seeing the cool sights in the Black Hills that you haven't seen before. So let's not count that. Like what are you most looking forward to about coming back to the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic Part 2 in July 20th, 2024 in western northeast South Dakota?
There's a mall in Aberdeen. And if you've
Cancel.
ever seen...
Don't bring that up yet.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, not
You're
that.
jumping ahead.
Don't put the cart before the
no,
horse.
we
you can't
are
be the mall.
we are excited to see Mount Rushmore and South Dakota's greatest sites, which I think is Pounders. But no, we are excited to see that. But no, I mean, I think last year, the fact that my wife is pregnant and is like, we're looking at the schedule and she's like, no, I want to do that again. I was a little bit surprised. But yeah, I mean, the event, not to toot you guys' horn, but it's a good time. It's like a meetup of all your friends. It's like the Arnold, except if you don't know everybody, you almost know everybody, except at the Arnold, everyone that you know, you don't actually know, you just know who they are. And here it's like, oh, I know who you are. And if I say hello to you, we can now have a 15-minute discussion, which I think is feature, not bug.
Yeah.
I don't know if Thor will walk by your booth at the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic or not, though.
You might be too busy with everything else going on.
I should post that more because every time I do, it does well. Like, I think I've used it like 5 or 6 times. I'm like, I should just include this in everything.
Yeah. You also, you've got some special collars that you made, I think, for the event too, huh?
Yeah, those are almost done. So we got 50 pairs red, just like last year. Last year they just said Massenomics on each. Now one side says lift hard, one side says lift easy. So that's what I like to
just
do.
like but
Just
they
like
are
the
very
koozie.
limited. So your
They
first
are.
and maybe last chance to get your hands on a pair might be at the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic.
I think last year we did 50 pairs of the Massenomics ones. You could probably go back into your store data and see, but I think you had like 12 to sell. Like I think we sold, I don't know, 38 of 50 there. So I assume these will go fast, and they're priced to sell.
Right. And that's the key.
That's my favorite.
Well, and then you also talked like you're not going to bring a ton of inventory with, but maybe there could be some sort of incentives for people if they want to purchase anything online during the time of the competition. You know, the people that are there at the event at your booth, they could get to take advantage of something.
Yeah, so we'll definitely bring some stuff, but probably I think last year we brought, I don't know, a couple hundred shirts, and it did fine. But I think what it'll be is we'll bring what we bring, and if you want to buy a size that we don't have, we'll just ship it to you for free. So so basically, get whatever you want. If we don't have it with us, we'll send it to you later.
Excellent. And Big Ron is competing this year.
I forgot about that.
Big Ron, Big Ron is ready.
Will is this his first powerlifting meet?
No, he's done a few before.
Okay.
And so we'll have to check in with him for a training update. He's got some what is it? I'm the barbell coach here. Spondylotendinitis. What is that?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's like
What's it?
bottom of the back.
Oh,
Something with the vertebrae.
Yeah.
Spondio. I think it ends in thesis.
yeah.
And
I know what you're
Ron's
talking
a
about.
Masters, I'm sure. I don't know how old Ron is, but I'm sure he's in the Masters category. So
Yeah, I think
He's
I
experienced in
think
those.
he's made masters, but yeah, that's the plan. And if he competes or not, he's there, and that's really all that matters.
That
yeah,
is.
it's not quite the same if Ron wouldn't be there. I was really happy. I'm always happy when Ron's around,
Big Ron.
and Connor for that matter. It wouldn't be quite the same if Connor wasn't
Just
making the
that
trip
innocent
either.
California teacher. Just
So
John
funny,
Cena.
Funny Connor story. Connor doesn't travel very much, so whenever he books travel, he likes to book it like way ahead of time. And so I booked my plane ticket, maybe a month ago. He books his to make it work. He's like, "Where are we staying?" I was like, "I don't know. I'll talk to Tanner and Tommy on the phone and see if there's anything that makes sense." Like a week goes by. He's like, "I need to book my hotel in Deadwood." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been playing phone tag with Tanner. I haven't gotten there yet." A week goes by. "Have you seriously not to talk to Tanner for a week?" I'm like, "Actually, I've talked to him like 3 times. I keep forgetting to ask. And when I text him, he ignores me." And so he's like stressing about it. So then finally you tell me like anything in Deadwood works. And then I text Tommy. I'm like, "Hey, are you available in Sioux Falls?" He gives me a halfway answer. So I'm like, "Whatever. We'll stay in Deadwood. We'll go to Aberdeen. We'll stay at this hotel. Then we'll stay the night in Sioux Falls. And we'll figure the rest out." And so I'm booking the hotels, and I said, "Hey, at this place, and this place, we have suites. So if you want to stay on the rollout couch, you can." He's like, "Dude, your wife's pregnant." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but she also understands you're coming a long way.
Right.
There's usually a divider or something. She'll be fine."
Yeah.
He's like, "Dude, your wife's pregnant. I've been through this road before." I'm like, "Nah, it'll be fine." Then finally he goes, "I don't think you understand how many nights I get to sleep alone. I don't want to stay with you." And I was like, okay. All right. In that case, book your hotel, Connor.
doing this for me.
So
you did get them all booked then now, though.
yeah, we're all booked out. We're ready to rock.
Awesome.
If you mentioned it with the Thor post there, and we talk a lot about, we exchange notes on posting on social media and post it. You've got a good YouTube channel going and always active on Instagram and all that stuff, just like we all are. And
Also,
kind
Tanner,
of talked about
along those lines. Did you know that Grant really put me on blast today?
what did he do
On X,
yeah.
people were just tearing me apart.
So
on your
funny.
squat. Yeah. Well, and also posting on X and all that stuff too. So is it weird sometimes that we're a bunch of guys in our, well, I'm almost in my late 30s, but we could at least say on average we're in our mid 30s here. and we spend so much time, not unjustly. Like, I mean, we kind of we have a good reason to do it, but we spend a lot of time talking about like how you post on social media and like it is part of the business, but is that ever, like, what's your thoughts on that? I know we've talked about it before, but
yeah, I hate it. I mean, I mean, today, you know, it's like Connor and I always talk about going back to the well, like what works, go back to the well. And then some days like the well's just dry. And so, but then you realize like, hey, if you repeat stuff, it works. And today, like, so we kind of, I say we, me, try to do something like, hey, instructional coaching type of video, something funny, and then, hey, buy our product. And today was a buy our product day. And so I think everything we do in the manufacturing process is the coolest thing ever. Like, I don't care what Grant has to say, where you should look when you squat. Like the meme that someone makes about something I think is stupid and I half the time don't get, but like, wow, look at this. There's like real humans like turning out a cast iron plate, machining it, whatever. And so today I just, you know, sometimes I'll just go and I'll just type location. So I'm like, Wapaka, Wisconsin. And it's like all from all my trips to the foundry, all this stuff. So I put together like, I don't know, some stupid reel to some trending sound of stuff being made.
I liked it. I thought it was a good video.
You liked it. So did 72 other people out of 35,000 people that follow us.
You're saying this, and I feel like I like every post from the Strength Co. I don't think I saw this post today.
Yeah. No, people hate foundry stuff, and Connor loves to make fun of me. So like I'll put a post up, and then he'll just text me like, back to the foundry footage. Must have not had anything today. And no one likes it. So then someone comments, so they machine the plate, and they take the plate out and they hang it on a hook. And then sometimes you'll have like machine shavings on the corners. So they'll take a file and they'll spin the plate and they'll do it. I mean, it's just the process. So I captioned it like machine to perfection. And then someone's like, yeah, machine to perfection. And then you literally make a video about a guy filing it down. So I'm like, well, I guess that was stupid. So then I was like, well, I'll just give him the pin of shame and roast him. So I pin it. And then someone like puts like a negative comment. I'm like, oh, this will take off, like Brian when he got mad about Taylor Swift. Didn't. No one liked it. It just post was dead in the water. I feel strange. I feel more strange talking to my brothers. You know, one works at Home Depot. Two others are attorneys. And they like laugh at my posts, but not.
And he's
like,
not the morning stalker at Home Depot either, is he?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I mean he's not running the cash register at Home Depot.
No.
He actually wrote the theme song for the Home Depot, right? That everyone.
Yeah, he didn't. Well, I'll tell you a funny story about that in a second, and I won't hijack you guys' podcast. But anyway, they just always are like, "Is this what you do?" And I'm like,
yeah, kind of. That's part of it. Yeah.
This is like a big part of it, actually. Real quick story on that. So my brother Jordan is actually the president of online for Home Depot, and he has a second title, but he answers directly to the CEO. And so there was
Home Depot.
Of Home Depot.
Also like like one of a very large company.
He had some job offers a while back, and he didn't take them. But there was like a lot of back and forth, and he was kind of like leveraging his position. And then he messaged me and he was like, hey, how do you make a meme? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, like I see you make a lot of memes. I want to send a meme to the CEO. And I'm like, well, what do you want? And he's like, you know that scene from Night of the Roxbury where the guy's like holding up the boombox during the wedding? And I was like, yeah, of course. And he was like, okay, so he like sends me the scene. He's like, make this person the CEO of this company, make this person the CEO of this company, make this person the CEO of this company, and then make the guy holding the boombox the CEO of Home Depot and play the Home Depot beat. And I spent like 2 hours, because I'm not an editor, like on Instagram, like moving faces and pinning things. Yeah. And I download it and I send it to him. And he says nothing to me. And then I see him at my nephew's graduation. He goes, dude, the CEO of Home Depot loved that meme. And I was like, wow,
is awesome.
I didn't get paid for that, but I guess what I do matters.
That would be worth it. If I knew a meme got to go to the CEO of Home Depot and he loved it, that would be well worth the time spent.
That's what I'm saying.
The memes just make the world go around.
I always
That's what
feel
everyone
bad for
needs.
my wife during that process because, you know, like this, like you're timing it to the sound. So
you hear it 1,000
it's like
times.
over and over.
yeah.
She's like, ugh, you're making a meme.
I just would like to get your brother's candid opinion on Menards sometime, a little more in-depth Menards talk.
Yeah, I've asked him a few times. He respects them more than Lowe's, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But I'll have
And
to,
rightfully so.
I'll have to dig deeper.
Menards is kind of playing a different game. You know, they're privately held companies, so they're
Right.
on a different playbook.
Is Lowe's publicly traded? I should know.
I'm sure it is.
I'm
isn't it,
assuming
or not.
I think is it
So-
Menards like one of the bigger privately owned companies?
It probably is. Yeah. Like that's very possible. I don't think there's any Menards in South Carolina, though, is there? Probably not in
No.
California either. So you never
No.
really.
I had never seen one until I was looking for Brock the Rock.
Yeah.
It was just right there.
I went to the Menards parking lot, and
To save
Connor and
big
I,
money.
we took our photo on the wrong rock, and then we asked the lady,
Common mistake.
"Hey, we're looking for a rock that people run over," and she goes, "In Aberdeen?" And but we found it later. It's across the
Yeah.
street in case anyone's
Yeah.
going this year.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. You got you're no stranger to this podcast. I mean, you've been on here 3 times, but you've got your own podcast now that you've done 20 some episodes.
Okay.
now, every single week. Okay.
24. We've recorded 24. 24 will drop this Friday. Yeah.
So been a new one every Friday for 24 weeks. A couple more weeks will be the half year mark.
Big milestone.
Wild.
So what do you feel like you've learned so far about doing the OK podcast?
Way harder than I thought.
Is it actually? Like in what way?
Just the consistency.
Oh.
Like, so I think, I mean, in a lot of ways, like making it entertaining, like I feel like we've learned a lot, but I think, you know, I kind of thought going into it, I mean, I think we're 2+ years into consistently pumping out YouTube videos, or right at 2 years, somewhere around there. So I kind of thought that's a pain, right? Like you're going to do a YouTube video and then, you know, you're ahead for a month, and then all of a sudden you get down to a place and you're like, oh man, we need something for tomorrow. And so I kind of thought I knew what that feeling was. And I was, podcast, we'll just layer that on top. No big deal. And, I mean, it's just, to pump them out every week. It's a lot more. And I've said since we started, we will do it every week. 'Cause I watch a lot of people, you know, like in the starting strength community. When I started doing YouTube stuff, I saw like other starting strength coaches like try to do more YouTube, and which it's fine. And then, you know, it goes for like 6 weeks, and then it's just like,
it's
oh,
done.
whatever happened to that guy?
Yeah.
So when we did the podcast, it was like, we will do it every week. And we have 4 people. So it's a little bit more to navigate. And that we don't all have to be on there. I think out of 24 episodes, only 2 has someone been missing. But yeah, it was harder than I thought. It's harder to carry dialogue for an hour and a half, longer than I thought. You know, you think, oh, it's easy. Like I've been on like when I come on a podcast, you guys ask me questions. Like I don't have to be thinking about what are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
So I would say it's harder for the consistency and just, hey, how do I make this actually, you know, entertaining where people like it? But we're still doing it. People seem to like it.
Yeah, well, you guys always seem like you have plenty of topics. That's why I thought you would say like, oh, the hard part is like not making it 3 hours, because you guys do have between the guests, the Marines talk, the questions about lifting, some sports talk. I'm like, that's an hour plus right there every single time.
Well, I'm almost trying to not make it too long. Back to my Home Depot brother. He's asking me something sometime, and I was like, hey, you got to get on my podcast at some point. And he's like,
I'd like to hear that.
He's like, you have a podcast? And I'm like, yeah. So I send him like whatever I think is the best episode. And he goes, an hour and 42 minutes. What do you think? You're Rogan?
See, I don't
Rogan's are like 4 hours long.
Oh yeah, and I don't, an hour and
yeah.
42 to me, like that's how long a podcast is now. It's
Right.
once they start like getting over like the 2.5, 3 hour mark, that's when I'm like, okay, this is on the longer side.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah. We're trying to, with us, like Trey, Jeff, and I having all served together, our deal was like, hey, it's going to be fun. You know, and there's like, I'm complaining like, oh, like pumping it out,
Right,
thumbnails
right,
and stuff
right,
take time.
yeah.
But the conversations are fun. And we're just like, hey, if we want to have a friend on that no one's heard of, I don't care. Like, let's bring him on. Like, we'll have a good time. So that was kind of the nature of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. 24 deep.
What do you think of this tagline? The OK Podcast.
It's okay. Keep meaning to go back. I actually have I have like a note in my phone of like Tanner episode 400 and something, which every time you guys post, I'm like, oh my God, 400 and something. Because I feel like I've been doing this for an eternity.
Yeah.
And we
This
just
is
started
episode
this year.
428.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
428.
It's at the point it doesn't even like register in my brain as there being a before time. This has just always existed. Now.
This is just what you do.
There was never.
It
a time
has almost
before
like it
podcast.
would be a time soon when it's been 10 years of it every single week.
What are you guys at? 6 years? 7?
8 plus, I think now.
Sorry, I eat crayons for breakfast. I'm not good at math.
Let me
That's
just
a
say,
Marine
no, the
in
numbers
ya.
start to not even like make sense anymore. So I have a hard time remembering that.
The OK Podcast is great, though. I would encourage anyone, if you're listening to this, it means you must like podcasts decent enough. And if you like a decent podcast like this one, you might like one that's okay. So check out the OK Podcast. And if Jeff, Trey, or Jordy, if any of you are listening, you're all doing good work. So keep up the good work.
I'd say they're okay.
They're okay.
They're all right.
I do like when everyone says okay, though, in the way that you guys say okay.
So that was the whole nature of the thing, and then we can move on from this topic. But
yeah.
Trey, Jeff, and I would do a lot of phone calls, either one-on-one or like a group chat, and we just always make fun of that like stereotypical gunny or first sergeant that like walks in and sees a Marine doing something wrong, like, okay, devil dog. And then they like correct him. So we always just were like, okay. And so Jeff was actually the person behind it. He was always like, we should do a podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if we do, it's okay. And Trey was like, no one's going to like that. No one's going to get it. Everyone's going to hate it. And we don't have many followers. You know, we don't, as Trey says, we have 3 listeners, and PJ doesn't even listen except when he's editing. But what people respond to anything we post is that, okay. And I'm like, all right, something's working. Something's catching on here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's a good point too. You're 3 of you all Marine officers. Do you ever think about getting a Marine guest on that works for a living?
Don't call me sir. I work for a living. Yeah, we have a couple in the pipeline.
What about Top?
To big Tippy Top. Master Guns is our Tippy Tops. He's gonna come on. Top Shepherd's gonna come on. Yeah, we got a couple guys we're gonna bring out. As we like to tell them, as the officers, we're looking out for you, and we want to make sure there's enough of a following for it to be worth your time.
Okay. If you could go back in time to 2019, what's one thing? And you could only tell yourself one thing. You go back in time to find 2019 Grant, and you only get to tell yourself one thing. What one thing would you tell yourself about the manufacturing or selling of plates that would hopefully help your 2019 self going forward?
I thought this podcast was like funny and just full of jokes.
Well, this is your chance to give us a funny answer.
Yeah. Customer service sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might actually go with that. 2019 before plates. Yeah, it would either be something of like customer expectations and shipping. And shipping's kind of like multifold, but I think one, money spent to protect an item, even if you look at it and you're like, oh, this is cutting away from my margin, is well worth the money spent. And then I think also understanding how shipping works. Like when we shipped, I look back at our 2020 and 2021 numbers all the time. I didn't understand surcharges over certain weights. I didn't understand if you put anything that's not cardboard on the outside of the package, that there's a surcharge. And I actually at one point went back and ran the numbers. I'm like, man, if we had shipped this like we ship it today, profit would have been so much higher. But there's no one to tell you that. And the fact that
was that trial and error then, or do you have like a rep that you can work with at these companies, or how does that go?
Yeah, so we had a rep. We have reps. I mean, we use UPS and FedEx. We ship plates, which is our biggest product, primarily through FedEx. But you have a rep, but they don't really know. Like they know, but they're not thinking, hey, someone orders a pair of 45s, 10s, and 2.5s. Like early on, we would have taken 2 45s, boxed them up, strapped them together, and now you have a 90-pound package. And just Grant, dumb mind, was like, oh, less packages shipped, must cost less. But what you don't know is like there's a surcharge over 50 pounds, and there's a surcharge over 75 pounds. And oh, by the way, the strapping you use to put those two things together, there's a surcharge for that.
Yeah.
And so now it would be like, oh, 50 pounds. We don't want to ship anything over 50 pounds. Someone orders 45s, 10s, 2.5s. Take the 2.5, you wrap it in paper, you stuff it in with the 45. It's 47.5 pounds. Those get through, no surcharge. Ship the 10s on their own or whatever. But there was no one. I mean, I'm sure there were people to walk you through that. But for us, you got to remember too, we started plates from scratch. No one cared about us because we didn't have any volume. So later on, like the stuff we use now, we had some volume, and like an intelligent rep called me and was like, hey, why are you shipping like this? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think if I were to tell 2019 Grant, it would be like, think about your packaging, not from a customer experience. Like people don't actually, in my opinion, like for when they get plates, like you can give them stickers and notes, which you guys do a great job at, and I think works really well with like t-shirts. But with plates, like they don't care. They want the product to arrive like perfect, and they want to pay as little shipping as possible. And it probably took us 18 months to like iron that out.
Yeah, some of the customer service things you deal with, we get to see some of that stuff. And
no, I would never share that. I would never screenshot things and send them over.
We occasionally on shipping a t-shirt or whatever have this or that comes up, but nothing like the stuff you get to go through. Like some of it is absolutely insane. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't even have to respond. Like
especially
even think about a response for this email.
Considering the product. Like if you were selling some like collector's item that is meant to be babied and protected, that's like
the Mona Lisa.
Yes, like some highly sought after collectible. But then you're like, well, but if these things are being used, like they're getting thrown on a deadlift bar, and they're good chance they're getting slammed on the ground and thrown around. And I guess that's not how people use the stuff. Maybe
it ruins how you think about everything. I had someone recently message me. They had their concrete drive poured, and after graduating college, before joining the Marine Corps, I worked in concrete. I installed concrete, I mixed concrete, and they're like, hey, I know like you're 12 years removed. Like, what do you think of this driveway pour? And basically it was like inconsistent. It was like they had paid for the rock to rise to this top, which makes it darker. And then it was light, and then it was darker, and you can see it. But I just thought of it like a strength coat plate. And I'm like, you're going to drive your car on that. Right. Like, yeah, there's some discoloration, like you just think about you think about everything differently, but yeah, customer service, so fun. Love it. Hey, thanks for your order.
But do you just have your VP of customer service take care of most of that stuff then though? Or so you don't,
So I did until she got pregnant. Yeah. And then I just saw all these nasty emails going out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't see any of them. I hope the customer service team's doing a good job.
The call center.
That's what you have VPs for.
Yeah, that's right.
What you talked about you making your YouTube content for over a couple of years now. Tommy and I were talking about making notes and stuff like that, and we kind of think, maybe you can correct us if we're wrong, but you've probably made more. Maybe you've made more starting strength content, especially in the last 2 years, than anyone has.
Excluding starting strength.
I
don't know. Even. In the last, like when we were just Googling, or I would even say YouTube searching things about some topics we want to talk about here.
So this like, I can be the dumb guy because I don't follow starting strength closely here. Do they do content right now besides their podcast?
I love that. That's a real question because I can tell you're being dead serious. Yeah, they do.
I am. I don't follow closely.
Yeah, they do a lot. Yeah,
but not on their YouTube though, do they?
Yeah, they do a lot on their they post I think 3 times a week.
Really? Because I thought Tanner and I were just looking at this, and it just looked like it was all just like YouTube clips.
They do a lot of YouTube.
Clips. Like podcast clips. It just looked like, okay, here's the podcast, and then here's like 6 clips from the podcast.
Yeah, they do a lot of that. They do a lot of videos. I mean, I guess what I would call headquarters does less. They relied a lot on the coaches to send things in. And then when I started I was probably, I don't want to say I was the most frequent contributor, but I was definitely up there. And then now I just Rip's rule is, hey, I'll run it on my channel, but I have to run it first. You can run it on your channel after. And then, when I started to try to grow my channel, I was like, well, I'm going to run it on my channel. So, but yeah, no, they do content. I mean, I guess to answer Tanner's question, I don't know that I create the most starting strength content. I would say that the amount I create and the amount of understanding that those 2 words in a YouTube video works really well is probably more than other people that are creating the content.
And the other thing about, say, even Starting Strength HQ, say their YouTube channel, they've got a really big subscriber base, but if you start to look at some of the view count and stuff like that, and maybe compare it to like a channel like yours that has a good following, but it's smaller than that, obviously.
A lot smaller. I mean, what are they? Are they at 200,000?
They're 10x. They're almost 300,000.
280. Yeah.
Right. But the view count doesn't necessarily reflect that, and it might be easy to poo-poo things like, oh, you're getting cutesy thumbnails and doing titles and stuff like that, but that's the game. And if you're going to do it, why are you not going to play the game the way that the game works? And it obviously works. You can see in a case like that thumbnails and titles and stuff like that are important.
Super important. No, I mean, right. Super important. I look back at some of my oldest content because I think we started posting our first things and I wasn't consistent. I wasn't trying to do a YouTube, but we do stuff maybe in 2017. No thumbnail. Actually, not no thought into a thumbnail. No thumbnail. Just whatever YouTube generated.
YouTube, you pick this? Sounds good.
Yeah. I think Starting Strength puts some thought, but I mean, I think that's Ripeto's brand, right? He's actually not trying to play the game.
Right.
And, we, especially for our start, I'd say we play the game harder with our starting strength content than we do with anything. I mean, today's video I thought was silly, not to get off topic, but PJ messaged me and he's like, hey, do something on stretch mediated hypertrophy. It's all over YouTube. And he sends me 6 videos to watch. And it's end of a muscle length. Then you start to load it, partial range of motion, Dr. Mike, all these different people. And I'm watching all these videos and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not saying there's not a place for this, but for most people, what a waste of time to get down this rabbit hole. And he's like, you have to make a video on it. It'll smoke. And it's not smoking. It's 3 of the last 10. It's doing fine. Whenever you plan, it doesn't work out. But, But so that was oh man, we're really playing the game. Cause I would never sit behind my computer when it's YouTube recording day and be stretch mediated hypertrophy. Yes, that's grinding my gears. But yeah, I mean, what I've tried to make our starting strength content be is I have coached a lot of people running starting strength. What are the things they run into? And whether you want to run starting strength or not, but there's a lot of people running it and they run into basic issues. And really I wouldn't say a customer service mindset, but it's almost like, if we have people in our coaching pipeline, regardless of where they're at, how nice is it when they ask you a question, just hit share, copy link, send. And
Right.
I mean, that's a lot of the behind, which means that these are common issues that people run into. But yeah, I'm glad to hear I pop up the most on your Googles.
Yeah. I think that transition is probably pretty well into kind of the title topic of today's episode. Tommy, and do we have do you have that list that we talked about too? Like, is that at our disposal?
Official list.
Yeah. Like, do I ask the question first, or do you want to, do we approach it line by line on that list? Or do I just ask
the question? Ask the question. We'll start running through some of these on the checklist.
So we're kind of talking about it here, and starting strength has been a good springboard for us in a number of ways. We got to be on the Starting Strength podcast years ago. We also had a Rip on our podcast years ago, and both of those were
what episode number?
Oh, two.
We were in Tommy. We were in your basement in the first room in your last house in the basement. So yeah, it would have been like 200, probably like 230. That's my guess. Like 230 maybe.
Yeah, so we were on Starting Strength Radio, episode number 63, Massenomics podcast. What number did you say, Tanner?
230.
231. Wow, what a guess.
Oh, I was close. Yeah.
One off.
Okay.
Wow. The numbers all run together once you get over 400. I have no idea. When was Mark Ripito on? 230. Just off by one.
Yeah, 230. But us being on the Starting Strength podcast, we have a lot of we talked about this with Coop actually too. Like Grant, for example, he's raising his hand. Like, a lot of people found us when we were on.
That's how I found you.
Starting Strength Radio, so that has been an awesome springboard for us. And
not to cut you off from where you're going, but to be fair, I actually heard about you guys. I was, what do you call it? A humble brig?
Yeah.
Humble brig.
Humble brig.
I was Starting Strength Radio's first ever guest. And I was in the studio. I flew out to Wichita Falls, beautiful Wichita Falls. And, Ricky, whatever his name is, it's Rusty or Ricky, and I always say it wrong.
Rusty.
Yeah. So we'll say Ricky. That way it's still wrong. Like, hey, Rip, I talked to the Massenomics guys, and we're locked in for the podcast. And I don't know if that was when you went on theirs or vice.
That must have been when we were on his, because we were on his first.
Okay. Okay. So, and I was like, Massenomics, but Don't Curl on Me was already in the gym. And so later when I was working out, Ricky showed me, he's like, those guys. And that's when I followed you. So it was actually before it happened, but yeah, I did. Yeah. I'm sure I would have found you at some point or another, but the Starting Strength brought it in. Anyway, back to your show. Sorry, I'm a podcaster over here. I'm good at, asking questions and getting things done. Yeah.
So the question, also one other funny anecdote before I forget. I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast before. I had Rip's number and he had mine for when he was on our podcast, because at that point in time we were still doing just calls over the phone, and I would just straight up call
which
people
he
on
probably
the phone.
Loved.
Yeah.
Old school.
Like, I was right up his, that was, he's like, oh, you just call me? All right, sweet. But it was like a month, maybe it was a month or a number of months. I don't know if I ever told you this, Tommy. I got a missed call from Rip, and I legitimately wasn't around my phone. I didn't answer it, and I had a voicemail. I'm like, what could this be? I don't know if this. I don't think I ever told the story. I don't know if I've ever rethought about it since then. I have to look, and I may have saved the voicemail. I'm going to have to look if the voicemail still exists. But he dialed the wrong number. I don't know if he had saved this number and got confused of who it was or what it was. And it was like, I'm pretty sure it was something about fixing one of his cars. And he must have thought that I was the mechanic, my number was his mechanic or someone.
This is right up your alley.
Yeah. Right. And so I had this voicemail from Rip about fixing his car or something like that. And I'm like, I'm just going to do him the favor of not even responding to this and let him figure out that,
Yeah, I had a mechanic, called him, didn't answer, found a new mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah. Leads me to the question here to get your opinion, Big Grant. Is starting strength a cult?
As much as Massenomics is a cult?
That's actually a big talking point that we have here when we provided. We've got some comparisons there actually.
Well, and I guess I would actually have to say in what regard.
Yeah.
Like, are we talking like anti-vaccines, or are we talking about you have to look down to squat? Are we talking about that low bar is king? Are we talking about you have to drive a stick shift Dodge that's made before 2004? I mean, there's a lot of roads we could go down here.
Levels. Yeah. So what did you get, Tommy, there? Because we had kind of a list of we found a few different lists of criteria of like what makes something a cult generally, like what the rules of thumb are if something is a cult.
Should we go through the checklist? And
yeah,
see where we end up.
And we'll get everyone's take on each item on the checklist. Okay. Like does starting strength qualify on that or not?
Okay, all right. So this is not scientific by any means.
It's spiritual.
Google. It's spiritually. This is a spiritual checklist.
This is a quick Google.
This is a
search,
quick Google
so
search, but it seemed like a good place to start. Okay, first question on the checklist. The group is focused on a living leader to whom members seem to display excessive, zealous, unquestioning commitment.
Yes.
Okay.
That is yes, right? Like that, if you,
undoubtedly, yes.
Like that's an easy yes, right?
Wait, what would you give it for Massenomics?
That's actually the one.
Let's do each one. We'll compare each one after the.
Yeah.
Like, or should we do them?
No, I can answer like first. That? Whatever you want.
Maybe we'll do them side by side, so we don't have to read everything again.
You're right. So, the other thing I'll say about this, as long as we're getting into it, when we had Rip on our podcast, I made the comment. I wasn't thinking this derogatory. I was thinking of it almost like more of like a compliment at the time. That I said, Rip, you've almost got like I said, you've got almost like this cult-like following. Which I think is true. Starting strength has almost like a cult-like following. And he stopped me, and like, I think he definitively did not like that word that I used, because maybe it's come up before, or I don't. But he didn't like, he disagreed with that, and I wasn't really meaning it literally. I was more just like that's something you say sometimes.
Yeah, figure of speech
has like a big following.
You have an engaged audience, is like
right, and so that's just one more anecdote on it. So. Read the thing again, and we'll compare it to Massenomics, because I think it's a definite yes on starting strength, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. The group is focused on a living leader to whom members seem to display excessive, zealous, unquestioning commitment.
I think it's a no for Massenomics.
Yeah,
I do too. It's a no. It's not. Yeah,
unless the only way you could even say that is if you're really into the podcast. But a lot of people just look at the numbers. Like the podcast is not where the majority of our audience is at. It's some meme account is how.
Plus, there's two of you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like even the avid listeners, I don't think they look to us as like
these authority
anything
figures.
other than just like, just guys being silly geese. And, nobody's like hanging on the edge of their chair to hear our opinion so they can, do what we say or think. I think that's
I'm sure we'll get it as we go down the list, get into it further, but also like the difference with you guys in this particular question is like there's more than one way to lift.
Right.
Yeah.
And
right.
Yeah. So
right.
Okay.
Right.
Question 2. The group is preoccupied with bringing in new members.
I want to say no.
And that's also,
I don't know if that's like if someone's into starting strength, are they worried about bringing in new members?
That's where I could see this one could be hard how you look at it, because it's like, well, I mean, if you were to say a gym, like, yeah, gyms are kind of like into bringing in new members, but that's also that's kind of business.
I mean, I own
like,
a starting strength affiliate gym. And so my answer would be as that hat on, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't want to speak for the org, but I think it's like, hey, I found out that I should be stronger for survival. I don't really care about anyone else. Mm-hmm. Like, this is what I need. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. That's definitely not a strong. Like the first one is a strong yes on starting strength, and I don't really see it as much. But that's almost more of a yes for Massenomics in a way, that our supporting members do a good job of like championing us to other people of like being like, yeah, get in on this. This is awesome. Like we want you to be a part of it too. Sometimes I think if someone like follows Starting Strength closely, they really, they believe strongly that that's the right way and the way they should be doing it. And maybe they feel the way other people should be doing it, but they don't really care if the other people join them or not. I don't think they're not like, I think this is right and you have to do it with us. They might just be like, I think this is right. And you're being dumb with what you're doing. Maybe someone thinks like that, but I don't think they like need them to come with them and be like, yes, you need to be in on this with us.
Well, as compared to the first time I was on here, now that I would consider you guys my friends, I hope you don't just view me as Content Grant. But this morning, he shall not be named, in our like Zoom coaching deal, I had a guy and he's like, yeah, so my card was declined at Massenomics because like I got a new card and I've been paying for like 2 years and I just think I'm not going to update it. And I was like, no, you can't do that. Yeah. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, dude, it's Massenomics. Like, you can't like, you have to update your card. And I was like, I also know this happened because your card was declined for my services and we emailed you and you redid it immediately. What's $4 a month? You're only a LaCroix membership. Like, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. So
that's right.
Anyway.
So we get the point. We get the point on that one.
I think you get the point on that one.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. The group is preoccupied with making money.
No.
Massenomics, Tanner.
Tanner.
Like you and I, like people would make that joke about us.
Yeah. I mean, that was.
But I don't know if you say the group, like literally just you and I are the only ones maybe making money.
Yeah, that one that's tough.
It's kind of a joke. There's a joke answer, yes, to Massenomics, but not literally.
Okay, we'll go to the next one. Next question. Questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished.
Yes. Sorry.
So that one's
Sorry,
more
I
of a
didn't even
definitive,
finish your question.
Yeah. That one is, pretty definitive.
Yeah, that one fits the mold pretty good right there.
Yeah.
I get to defend them at the end, right?
Yeah, we can say
yes.
And this isn't designed to be like, it's actually fair. Like so far we're like 2 yes and 2 no. Yeah. So it's not like everyone's like yes. So it's with our what was it again? How does that apply to Massenomics? Does that
questioning, doubt, and dissent or discourage? No, that doesn't apply to us.
I mean, people are pretty
so,
upset
right?
You haven't released the slides.
There is that, yeah.
Everyone, maybe just stay tuned. Who knows what's going to happen? Never say never.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Next, we have mind-numbing techniques such as meditation, chanting, other stuff, are used to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders.
Yes. We look down. Valsalva.
Yeah.
Hip drive.
Yeah.
Your mind is numb now.
Yeah.
Do we do anything? Do we do anything like that?
I don't know. I guess you could say mind-numbing techniques. We get you hooked into more time on Instagram to make you.
Right.
I think that's a no for you guys as a consumer.
Yeah. Okay. I would say probably no.
So it's, So it's 3-2, Starting Strength, more occult.
Next, the group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status for itself and its leaders and its members.
Yes.
I'd maybe even say we fit into there too.
I think you do too.
Like it's just elite in a different way. Like
but
what
it's
is
elite and trying to just in like the dumbest way possible elite.
Right.
So,
but you could spin it,
To not add too much seriousness to this, but one of the things that I like about Massenomics, you guys aside, is that a lot of the lifters in there are like, yeah, this matters, but it doesn't really matter. Right? Like a powerlifting meet, someone going crazy after a deadlift. Like I have Massenomics crew members sending it to me like, what a dumbass. Cool. He deadlifted 450. Right. No one cares. And like, I appreciate that because it's like, hey, on the starting strength side of things, like you need to be strong. You need to work out. You need to not miss workouts. But also, no one cares if you deadlifted 455 or 495. Like it doesn't matter. I don't know. I like that from the Massenomics crew. They're like, oh, cool. You're working hard. All right. Keep going.
Yep.
Working hard or hardly working?
Hardly working. Living easy.
Okay, we're almost to the end of the list here. The group has a polarized us versus them mentality, which causes conflicts with the wider society.
Yes.
I would almost say sometimes Massenomics does have that.
Yeah, we do
on
at
certain
times.
things.
I don't know if that's like the default status, but it definitely does exist.
It's
at
like if
times.
someone definitively wrongs Massenomics, there is a mob mentality.
Brian?
Where everyone's like, yes. Like, so yes, that does actually come up. Like that would probably be a yes in some ways.
Okay. Next, we got 2 left here. The group's leader is not accountable to any authorities.
Yes. You like the way I answered that? Hiss into the microphone. Yeah, I'd give that a yes. Also,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not a
think Rip-
spokesman, but I do approve this message.
Yeah, I would say I don't feel I mean if you like Rip definitely I think doesn't feel like he what was the exact wording of that?
The group's leader is not accountable to any authorities.
I don't feel like based on the way I hear Rip talk, I do not feel like he thinks he's accountable to like any almost any authorities like just like anyone at all. I don't feel like he thinks he's very accountable to
And
anyone.
I think that's the brand.
I was
Right,
gonna say that's
right,
like the
it
whole
is.
point of
That's
like
the
certain
whole point of
episodes
it.
almost even.
Yeah.
Right.
To us, I don't think that one applies to us. Probably, I don't think.
I mean, you put Tanner in
either.
a 69 Chevy with his baby in a car seat on the front seat.
Oh, that's true.
He's not accountable to the South Dakota state law. He is going to go on a ride low and slow with Big Cy.
We've got enough APD, Aberdeen Police Department officers that are gym members that I think they'll just say, why don't you just get on home,
Yeah.
Tanner?
Which means you don't answer to authorities and you're also a cult leader.
Yeah, why don't you just get on home, get out of here?
We'll jump to the end of the list here. Members are encouraged or required to live and or socialize with only other members of the group.
Well, not required in either of them for sure.
Not
Like,
required,
that's
yes.
Not required.
That's
Yeah.
Encouraged.
Encouraged
maybe.
is, I think, for Massenomics, I can absolutely say they're encouraged to socialize with
Right.
other members of the group.
Well, we set up events. We have one coming this weekend, one next month.
Yeah. I'd almost give that a no as a gym owner. It's like starting strength almost wants you to like find the truth. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that could be a yes. Okay, but I'll give that a halfway. I don't know.
Okay.
I could go either way.
Okay,
So
so,
does
we
that
asked
wrap us
about
up,
1,
Tommy?
2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. I don't know what the final total was on the 9, but
Yeah, I think maybe starting strength beat us by 1 or 2.
I think
probably.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the final verdict then?
Starting strength is the occult.
might be a cult. That's, I
Yeah.
guess, the takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe Massenomics is too.
Yeah.
We're
It's-
cult adjacent, I guess.
It's weird because I guess I would say I feel like I'm deeper in the occult of Massenomics than I do in starting strength. But maybe
Yeah.
that's a grantism. But like if Massenomics tells me to buy a bag of coffee, I'm gonna buy it. And I'm gonna couple it with a t-shirt. And if starting strength tells me to buy a leather boot, I'll probably be like, I don't really feel like I need to buy that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And not to just really, this wasn't to be spinned as a negative. So I would say in positive, you could probably say a lot more, but like starting strength does help a lot of people that are, especially particularly those that are starting their strength journey, get them.
Oh,
headed
almost
in
like
right
the words
direction
of
and
the
getting
brand.
stronger. Right.
Just
I guess
like
there's
that.
a reason it was chosen, right?
Yeah.
And also, to be fair, I think you could pick almost any. Actually, I feel like a lot of these apply to just fitness
That's true.
influencers in general, and
Right.
actually even to social media to a certain extent. Anyone that people put up on a pedestal, is a lot of this stuff starts to apply to them, just regardless of the actual situation.
I think, to be fair and kind, starting strength it's not the only way to get strong if you're a beginner, but I think it is exactly what the name is. And I think that like, hey, your dad wants to get stronger. Like, you should squat like this. Is it the only way to squat? No. Did Tommy get roasted on X today? Because a lot of our followers are from Starting Strength, which I'm very thankful for. Yes, but like my thought when I see those things is when I think it's a cult, because I post Tommy squatting 420. What was it? A triple? 5?
410 for a triple. Yeah.
410 for a triple, right? Like when I see anyone do anything with 400 pounds, I think, oh, this guy knows how to lift. When I see someone like totally botch a 135 pound squat, I'm like, oh, you need some help. Here's a really basic way to get better. And I don't want to say problems with Starting Strength, but where I think it gets into a cult is when we think we have all the answers for all, like after you've started strength, right? Like if you're a 180 pound guy and you can squat 300 pounds, hey, I don't care what program you buy. Go on Juggernaut AI. They're sponsors of the podcast. There's your ad read right there. Call BW Tax. They can figure out like what each squat is worth. You know, like there's a bunch of roads to go. But where I like am in the occult of Starting Strength is like, hey, I've never been to the gym. What do I do? Is this the only way? No. But is this like a very basic thing for you to follow? Yes. And do the mechanics make sense for a beginner? 100%. Go do this thing. And that's where I think it gets good at. And that's where I think Rip gets taken out of the context. Because Rip doesn't really care after NLP. Like he actually doesn't. Like I've had like numerous conversations with him about this, that. Yeah, he'll like crap on RPE. But like that's where he's playing the game. He does play the game. Never forget Rip's a showman. Like he does, does play the game a little bit. So like he knows like RP is a hot topic, so he'll crap on it. But at the same time, like if you're squatting 380 for a set of 3 and he thinks you should have done 5, like he doesn't care. He's just glad you're squatting 380. Like, you know,
right. Yeah. Or like you said, like if Tommy has this video of him doing 410 for a set of 3 and it's like obviously good, strong squats.
Great.
It's like,
or I'm obviously
the comments today offended me. The comments today offended me. Like I just kept saying them to Tommy, and there was more Tommy that I didn't even send you. But the one that was like, teach him how to use his hips and he'll squat more. Actually, what offended me more was this weekend I was drilling Marine drill, and we have like 1,000-pound club thing with the Marines. And so there was like 5 Marines going out for it. One of them was a captain. He just joined the unit, and he comes in. And a bunch of Marines had come to me. They're like, hey, sir, actually, like, since you joined the unit, I follow your YouTube. Like, can you teach me how to squat? So I'm like teaching all these guys how to squat. I'm not really getting a workout in. And this captain goes to squat, and he squats 425 for a single. And it's like high bar. And in my opinion, if you're doing high bar, even higher than it needs to be. But it's like ass to grass, deep squat, picks it up, puts it in the rack. And so I just post it. And I'm thinking like, hey, my Marine followers were like this. This is on X. And I'm like, we're building the lifting culture, right? Like, I'm not talking about form. I'm just like, we're building the lifting culture. Yeah. And they're like, if you taught him how to low bar squat, he'd be able to do 475. I'm thinking, I'm not thinking. I'm replying, hey, brother, show me your 425 pound squat for anything in any way ever. You know?
Right.
That's where like the Rip occult does bother me, because there are people that like subscribe to methodology, but they're not actually strong. But they're like, but I listen to Rip and I appreciate his opinion on vaccines. Therefore, this guy should have the bar 4 inches lower on his back. I'm like, that was a great squat. Like, I'm not upset at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that would be the part where it gets maybe out of whack. Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, like if you didn't buy the bag of coffee, are you even a supporting member?
That's a fair question.
Same.
That's a fair question. So that covers the cult conversation. We can officially make it the title of the episode, and
I think so.
Yeah, it's a good thumbnail. It's a good thumbnail.
We were talking before you got on. Tommy and I were talking a little classic Chevy truck stuff.
Oh man,
You've got a couple Chevy pickups yourself, huh?
yeah, I got two. I got a '96 350 motor, technically a CK 1500 extended cab, but no third door. It's black. That one lives in.
Oh, there is no third door.
The third door didn't come until '97. So then I have a
So do you just slide the seat forward, or how does?
Basically, you can't access the back seat, but yes, technically the seat it doesn't slide forward. It leans like
just tilts.
Yeah, it tilts. Yeah.
You basically can't get back.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's to throw your junk.
It's where you keep your extra sea foam.
Yeah.
And then I have a '97, which is when they added the third door, and they also changed the dashboard. It's super interesting. So in '96, the passenger seat in a Chevy CK 1500 has like a shelf with 2 cup holders above the glove box. And if you put any drink there, and I'm talking any drink, you could put a LaCroix and a Lift Hard, Live Easy. You could put a coffee cup. Whatever you send there is going to be on your lap. Like
because the drink holder is like an inch deep, right? Or a half
not
an inch.
even an inch. Like it's literally just like the slightest indentation. But in '97, they made the dash go straight, and they added a pop-out 2 cup holder, which also still isn't good. But it's just funny, like in 1 year, that's how they changed it. Now, every time I get my '96, I'm like, what did they think you were going to do? Hey, honey, you got your coffee? Yeah, just put it up there. We'll be fine. We're driving to wherever we drove to in '96. But yeah, I got 2 old Chevys.
So how do you decide what one you're going to drive?
So
depends on what side of the country.
Yeah,
you're in.
exactly.
Oh, they are actually split.
Yeah,
okay.
So I bought them both during 2020 when we were like distributing not our weights, but just like random weights. Like we'd bought out a couple warehouses, and like literally I had an employee that had a brand new Dodge Ram, and I felt so bad because I kept driving him to LA every day. And so I found the black Chevy on Craigslist, and I paid $1,500 for it.
Oh,
and yeah, and it runs, and I've done like a control arm on it, and that's it. But I haven't done anything to it, and I'm like, well,
I know what that is.
Yeah, you do. I'm like, I could sell it for $2,000, but it's kind of nicer when I go back to California to have a truck to get into and like send Tanner a sweet photo. So like, and I could also sell it for $2,000 3 years from now. Like, so I keep that one, and then the one here is the one I've worked on more.
It's really nice. Your white one's really nice.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we repainted it. We've done stuff. I still got to work on the interior. I need to get
what color is the interior?
It's tan. I have.
Yeah.
It depends how far I want to go. I have black seat covers on the front captain seats because they're pretty torn up. So I could redo that whole thing. It's like a $1,500 project. I think what I'll do next, because the seat covers right now, when you get in, you're like, whoa, nice truck, is I need Bluetooth. Like the JBL speaker just isn't where I need a speaker system. And I have it all picked out thanks to Tanner and like vintage radios, but I haven't done it yet.
I think in '99 maybe you could get them in both body styles, but '99 is when they switched away from yours. It's maybe like 99 and a half is when they went to the
2000s
after. Yeah,
they rounded
that
it up
body
a
style. I do not care for near as much. The
Chevy's 00 to 04, like. My little brother will probably never listen to this, but if he does, I feel bad. I love the fact that he's like still maintaining his 2001 Silverado, but the body style is terrible. Like mine is on the verge of
might
being
be one
cool.
of the worst styles.
I just look at that one and I just think like just old commercial vehicle.
Yeah.
Like when I see that, it just looks like the most bland vehicle.
Finally, what I came on the podcast for, Car Talk.
Yeah.
And like
and I never had one of that style.
Like the 99 F-150, like that thing looks banging.
Yes.
That thing looks great.
I know it.
I just got to look at, and a 99 Ram, that was like ahead of its time too, wasn't it?
So I think the Rams, and I generally don't like to plug Dodge, but I think the Rams in the early 00s did a good job. Like those were cool trucks. They like made the hood really tall. Yeah, those are great.
I remember my dad got one of those,
is cool,
and it just seemed like that was the craziest pickup at the time when he had that.
I never had one of those Chevys in that 2004. I did have like a 2006, and it was sweet, and I wish I still had that one. But I'm glad I never had one of that. I didn't.
It was a bad. It was a bad. Who was president 2004? Maybe it was his fault.
Was it Bush?
Not to talk politics, but I think it was Bush.
You know how we like to. You know how we like to.
Bush.
Like to get into politics.
We got in a good war. We got into some bad Chevys. Yeah. That's what I always say.
The Celtics won also.
Oh, thanks.
By the way.
I was actually going to ask you that, but I was trying to stay focused.
106-99. I was watching it. It got pretty close there for a minute, but I wasn't going to tell you because I didn't want you to get distracted.
Yeah. It's tough not to pick up my phone.
Yeah. Tommy, what do you think about overrated, underrated?
Let's do it.
Should we hop into it? Okay. We talked about it a little bit, but overrated or underrated X, big X guy.
I think underrated, and I'm not just talking in the median that we're at, like getting things on social, but I think that despite his infidelities post today, did you guys see Elon's in some? Yeah,
I don't see anything.
Yeah,
on
he's
X.
in some hot water of like needing to talk to new female interns about, their ideas for the company. And as I like to say, well, it worked for Bill Clinton. So, but in any event, I think it's underrated. I think things are moving to X. We're actually working really hard to like every YouTube video we post on X the next day, like long form, like 12-minute videos.
So are you sharing the YouTube
No,
video, or are you?
we
straight
were.
Up yeah.
We were, and we're no longer. We are now. So basically, a YouTube video will come out, and we'll post the thumbnail with the link to the blog. So the blog takes you to our website, and then the next day we'll post the long-term or
you just are
the full video.
Natively posting the video on X. Yeah.
And could be totally wrong, but I think a lot of things are moving to X. I think it's going to like replace Venmo. Like I think it's all going to be, you make call, like right now, Indian encryption calls as a Marine reservist have to open Signal or WhatsApp. It's a huge pain. I think it's all going to go to X. I think it's underrated. Could be wrong.
Tommy, what do you got? Any follow up on X?
Well, I don't know. Like, it's weird for me because I was really into Twitter, like, probably 2011 to 20.
Way before I was.
Yeah, 2011 to 2015.
Bit of a Twitter
maybe.
Hipster, so to speak.
I was kind of ahead of the curve here.
Yeah, as you are.
I was really into it then, and then it was what happened to everyone. Instagram came along, and it's like, oh no, this is where it's at. Like, you can actually post images, see them in here. You're not limited to just 144 characters or whatever the number was at the time. And it was just, and it was obvious, like Instagram exploded. The numbers like prove that. And then over time, I don't know. It's just, I've gotten, I've been off of Twitter forever, so it's like I'm clearly not the audience there. But the Elon stuff definitely wasn't helping for a while either. There was
I thought so too. I thought that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of people checking out there, but I think it will be interesting to see. I don't know. I think he's just like eroding so much trust in a lot of people. Like, he definitely has some people that are really into him, but I think he's not helping the brand the way he's trying to be the spokesman for it because he's so polarizing to so many people.
I agree with you. I would say this and give you data to protect Mark Ripito because I bashed him so hard so far this episode. But
not really.
No,
though.
not really.
It wasn't really bashing. Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think Instagram, what do I know? But I think it gives brand awareness. But if I, to this day, look at sales conversions from X, it's much higher, like 50% higher. Like, people on Instagram want, quick little reels about how you should squat. People on X like watch your product and they go and they buy. So for me, that's why I invest so much time over there because the return on spend is better and it's not as good as YouTube, but it's better than Instagram. Whereas like
are you saying proportionally or as a total number for you though?
Total, like 31,000 Instagram followers.
Yep.
5,500 X followers. The 5500 produces more, like, and it may not be the actual 5500, but X produces more.
Yeah. Right.
And that's where it gets weird with social and analytics, because it's like, well, maybe someone follows Massenomics.
Right.
And
They could see it
right.
forever and then just go one day and type it in.
But
and
at some point you have to say, hey, the numbers that the internet's giving me, this is what is actually happening. And X people tend to buy more. YouTube people buy the most, X buys second, Instagram buys third. In our small demographic of what we see.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I know.
I tag SD Massenomics all the time. No one ever replies. No one ever comments. So
no one's home.
I'm not sure if that's. I don't even know if I know how to get in it anymore.
Should get in there.
Locked it up and threw away the key.
We had it back in the day. Something happened and we ultimately decided just to delete it. And then
I think it was after the Ronnie thing, because they're like,
it was
just because they were nice, but they're like, just remove every post you've ever made that has Ronnie stuff in it. We're like,
and we're like, well, we're not really using Twitter anyways. Let's just delete Twitter so we don't have to scrub what's in there, like we did through Instagram where we deleted everything. So we just got rid of that Twitter account altogether. And then, Grant, you talked me into it a couple years ago. Maybe it's been even that long.
I think it has, actually.
And I posted a few things.
You did. You came back for a minute. So I'll tell you my thought on this, and not to ruin overrated, underrated, but like my thought is always,
you have your druthers. Anyways.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
This would go for hours.
Thank you for my druthers. It's going for hours. But I'm always just like, when we make a reel, like it's always first on Instagram. And I'm like, did we get it up as a YouTube short? Did we get it up as a TikTok? Did we get it up on X? And my back thought is like, yeah, it's a pain to get it up on all these platforms, but I made it. So what do I have to lose? And I think
you didn't say Facebook in that equation.
I didn't. Yeah, I'm anti Zuckerberg. I try to do some Facebook stuff, but I'm bad at it. But
you didn't say Snapchat in that equation either.
I didn't. That's Tanner's domain. But I do think X is worth. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think X is worth your time. And I had a guy tell me, he was a gym member, and he told me, like, this is like from the coaching side of our business that I don't want to say I don't focus on, but I don't advertise as much. And he said, there's a bunch of people talking about how to lift with the starting strength method on X, or at the time Twitter, and they're all idiots. Like, if you just went on and talked about it somewhat knowledgeably, you would grow an account. And so, like, I think my personal's like, I don't know, 8,000, something like that. I don't know. I want to see Massenomics on X. Your crew member, Sam Ground Strength Zero out of Idaho. He crushes it on there.
Big Sam, former Massenomics gym member. He's got his. So does he have a following on there?
Oh, like double mine. I think he's like 15, 20,000. Really? Yeah, huge.
It's like, what does he post? Like, what does he put on there?
So that's the thing about X. The thing I like about X is it's like a billboard. If we knew anything about them, it's just like drive-by content. Like Instagram, as Tanner knows, posting twice a day. What time did I post it? Is the thing trending? Is the sound trending? X is like, here's a guy struggling with 500, and everyone likes that. And you could post it at midnight. And so he just posts.
But are you saying he's posting just text, or is he posting images and videos?
No, images and videos from people from his gym.
Okay.
From people, but it's not like there's no thought. I mean, I don't want to say there's no thought put into it, but like, let's say you're his gym member.
He's not curating his posting schedule.
He's not texting me like I text Tanner, do you think this meme will work? He's like, here's a person deadlifting 200 pounds. And then he's just like, Tommy joined the gym 2 months ago, had never deadlifted more than 95. Here he is with 200. Like, simple stuff. And he crushes it. Like, he was a Massenomics gym member. Oh, dude, he crushes it. And he tags us all the time. He's like great for us on X. We love Sam.
He was doing starting strength when he was there. He was a baseball pitcher for Northern State University. Go Wolves.
Yeah.
So,
love them.
Shout out. He's a supporting member also.
Not surprised.
Triple shout out.
Good guy.
Good guy. He is a good guy.
He calls them what does he call them? He calls them like vertical hoist. Every time he deadlifts,
Okay.
he's like, just another vertical hoist, and he'll deadlift like 500, and then like people love it.
Yeah. You know, my thing about here's my little take on X or any of the social media platforms is it's the problem I run into TikTok, and it's the problem I started to run into with X is I use Instagram.
Yeah.
So then I feel like we do well on Instagram because I use
Understand
Instagram.
the conventions and the language and how that.
I feel like I get the entire community and anything I like.
My square body story today.
Right. Like I get what's going on there. Basically, like I know what people are like. I get the whole culture of the platform. When I go to X, I'm like, or TikTok, because I post on TikTok a few times a week, but like I don't use TikTok. So like then when someone does maybe randomly comment on one of our posts, I'm not like there engaging and like, you know, I might get to responding to it at some point in time, but I'm not a user of it. And I think that it knows that. And I think like I'm not saying you're penalized, but I don't think you're not favored as well when they know you're not actually a user of the platform. And I also don't know how many
like
I
when
can
it sees your account
really
show
use.
up for 1 second post,
right?
And then it's like, yeah, we actually don't need to favor this account in any
way. Right.
Yeah.
I think that would be a theory I have on that. So I think you gotta, to a certain extent at least, you need to actually use the platform. Also, you need to do it to have an idea what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
Too, like that, like that's part of it. But
no, I think
that's kind of
like I agree. Yeah, I agree with you 100% because I feel the same way on TikTok. Like when we make a good reel, I go at like we probably post on TikTok twice a week most of the time because I forget. Right. Yeah, but X. Yeah, maybe I'm just more of a user of X. Like that's where I get my news.
Yeah, I bet,
I don't watch news. Right. I don't
see. That's
like,
what you use it. So then yeah. Well, and since you use it, then you say it's where you get your news. You're following accounts that are also doing good things, and you see like.
But then
because I get ideas on Instagram of just where I'm like I'm following something completely on lifting related, but I see them do this thing, and then I'm like, how do I use that for Massenomics?
Yeah,
you know, like
and because you use it, I mean you're actually engaging with the community and writing and replying to other people too, though, right? Like you're right, because that would be I mean, are you literally just showing up and posting, and it's like a one-way thing?
So on the Strength Co, I really am. Like on the Strength Co account, I'm literally like it's like a one-way deal. But I never miss. So I'm on there, but I just go on and I post. And on the Strength Co account, just like Tanner's way better than me on Instagram. Like sometimes I'll just grab a Massenomics post. I'm like, Tanner responds to all these things.
Yeah, I don't.
And I look back at like one Strength Co post that did well. I'm like, I didn't respond to anyone. Like Tanner's way better.
right.
So on the Strength Co, it's all one way, but I will reply to things. I'm talking about on X, but yeah, I don't know. Like you definitely have to be engaged. But I'm glad you gave me my druthers. Underrated. Everyone go to X. I think it's a great platform.
And follow the Strength Co.
That too. It's actually at the Strength_Co. And everyone loves to send me the account at the Strength Co, which has 10 followers. And I've messaged them and emailed them no less than 100 times asking if I could buy the name. And they've never replied because the person's dead. So it's the Strength_Co. It's just what it is. Let's keep playing the game, Tom.
Overrated, underrated. Now, in South Dakota, we usually just call them hats. I don't know what you guys say in South Carolina, but underrated or overrated cowboy hats.
Oh, you mean a hat?
Yeah. In South Dakota, we just
like
call them
10X?
hats. But like a 10X. If we weren't specific, that would be a specific
Did you
version
like
of
my
a cowboy
storage?
hat.
Does that work in your 69?
Yeah. Where did you have them exactly?
So I have an extended cab, which I know you have a forward cab, but in my Silverado, look at this. Trey's going to be so happy.
There it is. I can't really do it.
Usually my hat's here.
I can't really do it with my headphones
but
on,
we get the
I?
idea.
Yeah.
So in my truck, in the back seat, there's like the headrest, and then there's like where the plastic comes out that meets the window. And so you put the hat there. And in South Carolina, we just call them hats. And where I literally wear my hat most is when I'm fishing, because I actually want to use it for sun protection. So I've stopped bringing it in and hanging it above me on the horns, and I just leave it in the truck. And that's the photo I sent you the other day. But yeah, it's just
okay. So I need you to explain something to me. I've never had the privilege of being to upstate South Carolina or even South Carolina for that matter.
We could change that.
I know. I hope we do someday soon here. And okay, so paint the picture for me, because when I think of South Dakota, it's not unusual to see someone wearing a hat, you could say. And I feel like they fit kind of like the mental image of what I would expect that person to have on. But like in South Carolina, is there a large farming community in South Carolina? Is there like cowboys in South? I'm not sure what the cultural vibes are in South Carolina.
Well, as we said before, we just call them hats. So a cowboy doesn't have to wear them. No, when I wear a hat around here, you definitely get comments. Everyone's not.
So like it is a bit of an oddity.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not like if I wore a 10X, because I don't want to say cowboy hat because we just call them hats. But if I wore a 10X in Boston, everyone would look at me.
And that I haven't been to Boston either, but I would totally expect
everyone would be like, "Who's this hick?" But here, they'd be like, "Oh, maybe an old timer." They'd think of. I'll let Tanner show me. They wouldn't. It wouldn't.
It's just a picture of George Strait inside.
I actually think it would be how probably you wore it in South Dakota. Like if Tanner wore, like no one wears hats in South Dakota, right? Like day-to-day basis. Some.
No, you do. If you like went to Menards,
you'd see.
You might see a couple guys wearing a cowboy hat.
Yeah,
yeah. Like there's plenty of farmers.
There's ranchers. There's a lot of ranchers around.
So I bet farmers and ranchers that you'd see them have. I mean, they wear them every single day of their lives.
I bet it's a little less here, but there's a bunch of. It's like people that farm that want some protection wear them. So it's not like I wear it down Main Street. Like if Diana wants to go on a walk. And I'm like, oh, are we walking all the way to Unity Park, a mile and a half down and back? Oh, I'm wearing my 10X because like I'm going to get burnt. Because I hate putting on sunblock, but I don't want sun damage.
Yeah.
So I'll put it on. And no one, like maybe 1 in 10 people look at you and they're like, oh, he's wearing that big hat. But they don't actually think about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of how I just explained it.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because I'm like, it's like, the South, so I don't. Maybe everyone just wears cowboy hats. I just didn't know
here in South Carolina, we just call them hats. Tommy,
we just call them hats.
Yeah.
When you go West River, which you will be West River, South Dakota,
actually,
when you fly
Deadwood,
in,
should I bring it? Should I bring my 10X?
Oh, West River, South Dakota. There's like 10x the percentage of people wearing cowboy hats.
You could stop into some like gas station.
It is
like
very
you might
country.
be the only guy. So, like you could stop into a small town gas station. You might be the only guy that wouldn't have a cowboy hat on.
So again, not to hijack overrated or underrated, but like when you guys do druthers, when you guys do the Arnold, like what we say in the Marine Corps, AARs, after action reports,
after action review.
There you go, after action review. You put in all your notes, and one of our notes was everyone wears a 10X because like Trey and Top got the most interaction, and it was just because of their hats. And we were like, next year everyone will wear a hat like that.
And then you say, people walk by and be like, oh, we really like your guys' cowboy hats. And you say, well, I'm the straight
we just call them hats.
We just call
actually
them
you
hats.
can buy one, and it has a photo of a 45 on the inside.
Yes. And now you're talking. You know, Huck Finn's going to have a beer helmet to sell this next year.
I love that.
So you need a cowboy hat. Yeah.
Big Huck fan, 42. You guys are going to go over so far on your recording limit this episode. I'm sorry.
He and my wife have the same birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Mary.
They're kind of the same person when you think about it.
Well, that's on a Facebook post of my wife's. Huck said just yesterday, he goes, oh, I didn't realize Mary and I are twins.
With the twins.
And I was like,
that's good.
I was like, oh yeah, I guess I never thought about it. Her maiden name was Finn before I married her, but I never put two and two together.
So like 8 a.m. the other day. Wait, was her maiden name really Finn? Oh,
No.
okay. At like 8 a.m. the other day.
Thank God they're not twins.
Diana was like, "Happy birthday, Mary," on our group chat. And I was like, "How did you know this?" She's like, "The only social media platform you're not on, Facebook." I was like, "I'm glad you're there, babe."
See, I feel like happy birthday wife posts, like that's what Facebook's tailor-made for a post.
That's
like
their
that.
bread
Like,
and butter.
Yeah, that's their bread and butter, just like BW tax. Okay. Overrated or underrated? Floating dry flies.
Can you specify? I'm a new fly fisherman.
No, because I don't really know
Okay.
anything more. It's just something I Googled about fly fishing.
Because it doesn't actually. It doesn't actually make sense.
It was like a method. It was almost like a method. It was like floating dry flies.
I would say underrated. So here's the way I fish. A lot of fly fishermen, I'll keep this really short, tie on an indicator, which is like a fuzz ball that you spray with stuff so it doesn't sink. And then they put tippet, it's called, beneath it, and they sink the bottom fly. And so they use the indicator to see if it moves, and then this hooks at the fish.
It's almost like a bobber.
Like a bobber,
Sounds
but they
like.
call it an indicator because it's fly fishing, and this is like super technical. It's like
It's way fancier than just this lame old red and white bobber.
It's like a low bar squat.
Yeah.
So there's another thing called dry dropping, which is I think what you're asking about, where you put a dry fly on the top, a big one with a hook, and then off the bottom of that hook you tie your tippet, and then you put a nymph, meaning a fly beneath the water, and that is what I fish 90% of the time because when you go into the river, you don't know until you've been there for a while. Are the fish rising? Are they eating on the bottom? And so my thought is like, why would I have a bobber on the top when I can use a fly as the bobber? And if the fish decide to rise, I can also maybe catch a fish. But I'm not an expert. But yeah, dry dropping is underrated.
All right.
How about ice fishing? Have you ever been ice fishing?
I have.
Have you?
Underrated. Did it in Maine with Mike Minigal. What I found out was that if you can skate and ice fish, it's way better because you poke the holes in the ice, you put the flags up, and then you don't have to do anything. And he was on skates and I was in shoes, and we had hockey sticks and we were like kicking a thing around, and he was having way more fun.
Oh.
And then you
that'd
just
be a way
wait
to
for the
do it.
flag to go down, and then you run over there and you like pull it up. So there's like, it's completely different than fly fishing I've done it one time, in my opinion, because you don't really have to pay attention. You just wait for the flag to go down. So you basically put it in and then you hang out and drink brewskis until the flag goes down.
Yeah, I'm not
Drinking brewskis. Say no
no
more.
I
Say
haven't done
less.
an extensive amount of ice fishing, but if I saw you ice skating out there, you'd be the first people I ever saw.
Oh,
ice
really?
skating. Like that's kind of a rarity. You don't really see ice skating on the lakes around here.
Typically it's like frigidly cold and everyone has a big shack.
Yeah,
Like that they're inside
Drinking
of,
whiskey.
like with heaters and yeah.
yeah, something like that.
All right, last one, and we saved the best for
I love
last. Overrated or underrated? Aberdeen's Mall, the Lakewood Mall. Actually, what is it called? It's
Uptown Aberdeen. It's been rebranded.
Yeah, I'm going to call it the Lakewood Mall because that name's stupid. It's the Lakewood Mall.
Do you want me to answer this honestly or try to get people to come to Aberdeen this July?
No, I think you have to answer it, and keep in mind you might not know local perception of Aberdeen Mall, but it is rated very poorly even amongst all locals. Like the mall is known trash. Like everything about, like I haven't heard a human being say anything good about the Aberdeen Mall in over 10 years, and that's including all Aberdeen natives who, like, I'm around a lot of people that like don't openly trash everything about Aberdeen, but they do trash the Aberdeen Mall. Like Tommy, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's,
no, you're right. That was maybe the most common ground you could ever find with someone is to talk about the quality of the mall parking lot. Be like, oh yeah, there was a sinkhole out there. Like that just get people going. That was like something everyone could rally behind.
Yeah.
So trying to think how to put this politely because I love the city of Aberdeen.
I don't think you could say anything bad enough about the mall that they haven't already heard.
Okay,
like, worse.
so if I wanted to go to the mall, I'll put it to you this way. my wife's having her first child. If I needed to buy baby clothes, I'd never go there.
I actually don't even know if you could find baby clothes there anymore.
I can't, which takes me to part 2.
Yeah.
If you've, I don't know how else to explain this, but if you've ever seen Dawn of the Dead, when I walked into the mall, I'm not like Content Grant has been here. He's come and gone. I've told some truth. When we talk about the Chevys and fishing, Content Grant was gone. That was real Grant. Everything else was fake. But when I walked into that mall, I literally thought, this is Dawn of the Dead. Like I honestly thought someone might come out with a gun and try to kill me.
If there was a little more crime in Aberdeen, that definitely could happen.
So
there's just not enough crime for someone to do. There's not enough criminals around.
I think there's
for
a
that,
lot of people that like spooky stuff, which would make me say it's underrated. Like it was an experience. And it made our Aberdeen experience.
That's a good twist.
It made our
Yeah,
Aberdeen experience because we did lift our Levisi, we lifted stones, we had a good time, we left, and then we were like, why are we here another day? And I texted Tommy, and he was too cool to answer me. He's like, I'm at the pool. I'm like, so what should I do? He's like, brother, you just got to chill. And I was like, all right. And so we went to Pounders. And we left and we went to the Aberdeen Mall, but we didn't know we were going to the Aberdeen Mall. We thought we were going to the movie theater, which we were. And we watched Barbie, which I would have never seen had it not been for the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic. And then we came out and Connor was like, what is this place? We have to walk around. And yeah, underrated. You got to go there. And then Storyland.
Storybook
Land.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Storybook Land's actually good though. The mall is terrible. Although 25 years ago, the mall was a cool place.
Well, you can tell because it looks exactly like that.
That's it. Like the way it looked 25 years ago is the way it looks now, except there was people there. Like it'd be freakishly weird to travel back in time and be like, oh my God, there's people here. Like what is this?
With people.
Wild.
Money being exchanged.
The Walmart used to be attached to the mall.
There's
actually,
a Walmart
too.
in there. JCPenney,
Sears,
Furburgers,
Sears and Roebuck.
Every cornerstone you could ever want.
Did I pass?
Tommy?
We're tallying up the votes right now, and it looks like you did pass. Overrated, underrated. So we will air this episode.
All right, good.
Excellent. So that's your 3 for 3. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah. What else do you need to get out there?
I don't know if this works because I'm like halfway a podcaster, but if it does, it'll be funny. So let me try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Loved about BW taxes. You could be someone like me. I have a W-2 job still. Got to support the wife, the kids. There you go. Kids, there's child tax credits. It's the government has really created a wild maze that is income tax and loopholes and all that. And that's what the folks at BW Tax, that's their bread and butter. I mean, that's what they're known for and what they've come to be so excellent at. And that's why, you could talk to them remotely, even if you're from some place in the sticks like Western Northeast South Dakota, you can still talk to a warm body at BW Tax. It's not a bot. It's not a chat GPT service. It's real people there providing a real service. And that's what I love about them at
BWTaxLLC.com.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what I like about it.
It worked. I know you guys talk about this like whenever you play this one, but I still every time hear the laughing, think you guys are laughing at it for the first time.
I thought even right now when like Grant was laughing on the recording, I had to look up and I was like, is Grant laughing? And I'm like, oh no, that is the recording.
I think that every time. Yeah. It never gets old. It's a great ad read.
So that is ad read from the OK podcast about their sponsor, BW Tax. So
bonus ads for everyone listening.
Yeah,
this week.
Sorry.
If you're listening and you're someone that does in fact pay taxes to the federal government or even maybe your state government, check out BW Tax. BW is a hell of a guy. They're providing a real service there. And he might be from South Carolina, but he can help you out whatever state you're from, whether you're upstate, downstate, wherever it is. BW Tax, check him out. What's that website again?
JacksLC.com. It's so stupid, but it's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Should we land this bird?
Went way too long.
All right. Well, we're going to see you in 40 days.
40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah, it's not just a Josh Hartnett teen Rob movie, if that's who's
it's
even
not
in
just
that movie.
Tanner's favorite Josh Hartnett movie.
Hey, if I was gonna say anything, I'd say it's been a while, and I can't wait to put one of the old Vice.
Yep, we'll get the Vice warmed up as we speak.
Next time you're here, we'll be getting a picture together in front of a giant Strength Co. billboard in western northeast South Dakota.
Yeah, big shout out to all the Coop haters. I love the Strength Co. Puffy coats. Hey, thanks.
Thanks, Grant.
All right. See you, Grant.
See you guys.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
Oh, did you finally get rid of that guy?
Finally got rid of him. Some guys really play the druthers game. I mean, come on, Grant.
Jeez, he was really druthering
it up.
It up, wasn't he?
No, that was good though.
Yeah, good. Good app. Good interview. We knew what we were getting into with Big Grant, didn't we?
Oh yes.
Oof. Tommy, what do you think? What are we going to talk about here? We actually recorded for quite a while there.
We have recorded for quite a while.
Really...
We should probably read an ad quick.
Okay. Let's see. Make sure to check out Juggernaut AI. Grant even mentioned Juggernaut AI. Tommy's been training on Juggernaut AI. We talked about his 410 triple squat, and we talked about him having a big RPE 10 bench coming up here. Are you officially in the peaking block, or are you
nope?
Almost in the peaking block.
This is the last week of, well, actually, technically next week is the deload week of the strength block. So technically peaking starts in about 10 days, 11 days.
Okay. Well, what we're alluding to, what we're talking about is the phasic structure that Juggernaut AI programming provides. You can set your meet date or your testing date like Tommy has and a lot of other lifters at the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic have. So we're about 5 weeks out from that. So a lot of them will be entering their peaking phase where they're where Juggernaut AI is guiding them towards hopefully hitting some PRs. So check out more, find out more at juggernautai.app. Make sure to use discount code Massenomics. That's what saves you 10% on that membership.
And this episode is also brought to you by Barefoot Shoes. Barefoot Shoes have been our favorite shoes to wear in the gym and even out and about for the last several years. If you head on over to www.barefoot.store, you can check out the best selection of barefoot shoes available. They have options like the Ursus Suede, available in low top and high top, as well as the Kodiak boot, if you need something for work or some more rugged terrain. And they also have the Oso, which is their slip-on, if you need something a little more comfortable that you can just slip on and off. But for real, Barefoot Shoes, we've been wearing them for several years. We love them. You should get a pair for yourself. And if you head on over to barefoot.store and use code Massenomics, you can save 10% on your next order. That's barefoot.store. Code Massenomics will save you 10%. Thank you, Barefoot. And also Barefoot is going to be at the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic, so they support us in that way as well, and we are deeply appreciative of that.
Excellent. Training update, though.
Yeah,
that 410 triple squat looked pretty sweet, huh?
410, yeah. I was pretty surprised because it was probably 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, the last time it had me build up to a heavy triple, and it was like 385. Might have been 380 or even 375.
Yeah.
I remember at the time thinking that seemed pretty hard. And I thought, the next go around, it'll up it 10 pounds, but no, it upped it 20 to 30, depending on what the actual number was. And
it looked like it knew what to do.
When I saw that number, I'm like, we're going 4 plates today. Really?
Yeah.
It has been a while. And I wasn't sure if I had it in me. Honestly, I was kind of feeling some anxiety around that one. I wasn't sure if I was mentally prepared, but I had to trust the process. I had to get it all together. And, when it was done, it was definitely not an RPE 10. It was probably an 8.5.
Yeah, it didn't look like a 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's a good sign.
That's
huh?
also the first time I've had to really go for a squat alone in the gym. And that's also a different feeling too when you're really going for it alone in the because I'm normally when I'm going that route, I've been in Massenomics gym and there's almost always a person in there, if not 3 or 4, that are psyching you up, getting you ready to go. They're also there to spot you. Like there's just this whole thing. So it's I had to kind of flip that switch for inside the gym, but man, you forget like finding that extra gear. It is fun when you go there.
There is an extra gear sometimes too, isn't there?
It is because you're actually like, okay, no, we're going to turn the music up here. We're going to get
the trick
psyched.
to having an extra gear though is not going to that extra gear all the time.
Oh no, that's
because if you go to that all the time, then it's not there when you need it.
Then you don't have the extra gear. Like like when it's like, I didn't do ammonia either, so I didn't do any ammonia, but
yep.
You get the music going a little louder than you normally do. You're a little more focused. Actually, you're a lot more focused than you normally are, and you're just really psyching yourself up. And you're like, when you get done, you just go, man, that is fun, because there's not a lot of times in life where you get the adrenaline going like that. And yeah, it was a good time. So,
your deadlift too. What did you do? 455 for a double, or
455 for a double? Actually,
what'd you mark that? Because that looked really easy. Like that didn't really look hard at all.
It didn't, and that's what I just have to get through my head is that. No matter what on deadlift, in my head, it feels like I'm dying and it's the worst, most uncomfortable thing ever.
I mean, that looked like, what did you even mark that? I'm guessing
I think I marked it as an 8.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it was.
Actually, I probably marked it as an 8.5, I believe. I can tell you here. I marked it
just
as
looked like the second one looked exactly like the first, and neither of them,
I marked it as a 9.5.
Okay.
It was probably a 9 or an 8.5 really, but
right.
I'm just not used to going after heavy deadlifts. I mean,
and rather be conservative.
I just deadlifted 4 plates for the first time in 6 years, a month ago, and now I'm doing 455. And I remember thinking going into this, I don't know, if I could hit 450 at the meet, I think I'd be happy with that. And then I just hit a pretty clean double of it. So it's I don't know. Maybe close to 500 is there.
That's what it would seem like to me. After watching that, I'd be surprised if you couldn't do 500, honestly.
I know. That's just the lift to have the least amount of confidence in. So it's always, I'm just keeping my expectations in line there.
Right.
But
that's the smart thing to do.
Yeah,
anyways.
I'm going to take whatever it throws at. Yeah. There's not too, if this was my same scenario and I was 26, I'd be like,
right.
455? 550 is just around the corner.
That's what I was just going to say. Then you just for some reason you skip 500 and you're like, I can do 550.
Yeah.
That's what
if 550 is not there in a month, it's going to be there in the next 3 months. That would be my mindset. And that was my mindset at a certain time. And now I'm just you know what? I'm just going to take what it gives me. And it's a much more enjoyable way to go through the process.
Yeah, it is.
But you also hit some big lifts today, I saw.
Yeah, I had a squat today, and there was nobody in the gym. So I kind of, as you're saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was like today. And it was a really hard set for me. So I did really have to, I had to get I was way more mentally stimulated for that than I am normally.
But it's fun to do that sometimes, isn't it?
It is fun to do that sometimes. And especially then to get it and be like, yeah.
Oh, that was 100%. That was my thing. Walking away, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
I forgot the feeling.
Yeah, it is a good feeling. It's then and also if your body isn't breaking when you're doing it.
That's actually my first thing is when I rack it. As it's coming up, I'm thinking, I'm feeling good. I rack it. And even then the first step away is does everything still feel intact?
Right.
Yes. Okay. We're good. Here we go.
Yeah. And I actually I had a fairly heavy deadlift this last weekend too. So it was really nice because I wasn't going into the gym feeling perfectly recovered, even not injured, but just I'm just training is hard right now. My training is hard.
Yes, because that was the exact scenario for me. Is I had hit that 455 deadlift 2 days before or something. It's it's piling it on right now. Things are getting tough.
Right.
And I rise to the challenge
then you
here?
still hit it. And then you're like, yeah, I mean, it's a strain, but I'm not hurt. You get done and be like, I got it. And I don't feel that much more crushed than I was before. You know, it's just like that's the good feeling.
It is because it does really. You do start to feel like I think I'm starting to see the plan all coming together. Like it starts to give you that feeling of yes, this is all actually working the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, that is a good feeling. So your bench will be an RPE 10 for what? Is it a set of 3?
I think it's a triple. I better let me look at it really quick. I'm pretty sure it's a triple though. It is a RPE. Yes, a triple.
Okay.
I'm guessing though that might be like in the low 300s. That might be like.
That's why I wondered if it'd be over 300 then maybe for you.
I mean I tried to do a set of 4 at 295 like a month ago, and I would actually be surprised if it was less than 305. So that might be 305. So that'll be a good set then too.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see a bunch of people. You'll be hitting it. And,
also, that one's like already. I actually haven't put any thought into that, and I'm like, God damn. When I tested out on Juggernaut like 2 years ago, that was the truest like RP 10 I've ever had. It was a 315 on my bench on that day.
Right.
And that was it. Like that was the max 315. And so this could be pushing me closer to that. It'll be interesting to see what happens on that day.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
Are you
having like a heavy day or what are you thinking?
Yeah, as long as my body is cooperating, I want to do what I would probably say I'm going to do a set of 5 I want to do a top set of 5 deadlifts off the floor at like an RPE 9.
Okay, so like a real, just straight up conventional deadlift here.
Yeah, I'm just going to go straight because I've been training the 18-inch elevated
deadlifts.
Yeah, my deficit block pull deadlifts, but even before I do those, I'm always doing off the floor deadlifts first.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, and I on my 18-inch pulls, I only do one top set.
Okay, so you're just kind of almost treating that like an accessory.
Yeah, that's like that's after my off the floor deadlifts because I ultimately believe that is not building strength. Yeah. That is not a strength builder. Like I'm building strength from my off the floor deadlift. It makes me stronger for all my other movements, and I just trained that one top set a week on that 18-inch, almost just like. For the sake of being proficient at that,
because there's a technique
not
component
to get me
to it.
Yeah. Oh, there is big time. Yeah. Like there's a lot of like little cues that I think of differently than I do off the floor deadlift on that, and I am getting better.
Well, yeah, because what was that? Was it like 635?
Yeah, I did 635 for a set of 5. I guess is that what it was?
And that's got to be up there with like. I mean, have you moved many sets like that? I mean, I don't know if you've pushed block pulls a ton.
No, I never have. That's definitely like the most I've done on a block pull, but I've never.
But just for weight in your hand though, that still is a lot of
it is
weight to be moved over a set.
And it is funny, like that's just I haven't gotten that much stronger, but I am just getting more used to that movement because I know like, oh, that first one is gonna feel, especially with that much weight, I'm gonna have had I not been training it for a while, I would have done that first one and be like, oh my God, I'll never get 5. But because I kind of know what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
And the week before I did 600 by 5 and like, it's like a progression there. I'm like, no, actually this is probably, I can do this. Yeah. It's just like going to be hard.
Yeah. You just have to, but I'm like, it's just supposed to move. Like it's just supposed to feel like it's bad kind of.
Right. Exactly. And then like I get through it and I'm like, oh, yep, I did it. But like that one, there was, because it was a decent jump and stuff like that. And it that movement in particular, it does take me some getting used to. But my point going back, I'm still building my strength for my off the floor deadlifts. I feel that's for me, like that's what transfers over to like everything else I do. Whereas this, I do not believe is a big builder of strength.
If you got to 750 for sets, that your conventional would just be shooting up.
No, I don't think so. So I'm going to just not worry about that elevated one for this 1 week, and I'm just going to try to use the environment to pull one heavy set. Last week I did 2x5 at 545. So I want it to be more than that, but I don't really know what that number is. It'll depend. I'll have to see what my
what's 6 plates.
That's 585. And that would be a great number. I just the intelligent number for me to go and do is 565. Like I know based on my progression, that's what is the intelligent number. But already I'm like, but 585 would be sweet. A sweet set of 5 for me. I've done it before and I've done a little more than that before for a set of 5. But I'm like, that's one I would like to get. But that is, and do think I might be able to. I'm just not sure if it's an intelligent,
right? Yes,
like if
what cost
like what the
does-
cost. Yeah, right. But if I'm feeling amped and if things are moving, I'm probably going to say screw it and go for that. But if I stay smarter, I won't. Like
that. So that's.
But
been,
I do have that thought in my head, like where I'm like, yeah, 585 is just on the fringe of not what I should be doing for that set that day. But like, it's tough to not want to do something like that when you have the opportunity.
But that is the thing you can say is that you can feel it out in the day. You're
right, and that's the way I play.
Yeah.
That's the way I play that, anyways. When I say, well, I want it to hit like a 9, and maybe I'm feeling awesome and feeling amped, and I'm like, I think
you're
I
talking
can
about
hit this
auto
at
regulation
like a 9.
over here.
That's right, exactly.
Like you're
exactly.
talking RPE.
Where I'm like, if I feel like complete trash, like absolutely freaking awful, maybe it's 545 again, even though it moved smooth last week. But if I more so think the sweet spot is probably about 565.
Yeah, and that's for me one thing as far as feeling it out is the variable of weather has just changed so much in my mind of how I think I'm going to feel that day. And now that I got my trusty fan from Menards,
big money,
and I have that thing cranked to full blast. So when I went out to squat the other day, it was 84 degrees. Luckily, the humidity was pretty low, but it was 84, which is up on the higher end. We haven't had a ton of very warm days yet this year.
No, just getting there now.
Yep, just getting there. And that was definitely on the higher end of days I've had in the garage. And I'm like, this is warm. It is for sure. But I cranked the fan to the very highest
speed.
speed.
Did you feel like you were sweating like as soon as you warm up? Or
Yes, as soon as if I didn't have the fan on me. And I just figured, like normally I like to walk around a lot while I'm lifting. I just like to keep moving. But the entire time, if I would just actually had the fan pointed on me at all times.
You just stood in front of the fan.
And I actually never really, I was very hot at times, but I never was sweating because I always had a full blast fan within like 2 feet of me. And like, if I ever had to do something, I would just turn the fan so it was pointed at me over here. And then when I was going to lift, I had the fan pointed directly at where I would be when I was lifting. So I pretty much never left the fan. I was in front of it at all times. And I stayed fairly, I mean, I was never like, I was actually, when I came in, I didn't have like a shirt that was drenched in sweat or anything.
Okay, that's why I wondered if that's what it was.
But I think the fan just keeps enough air moving that like it's evaporating and I'll sweat off you the second it happens.
Did you lift today?
I did not lift today.
Okay.
No.
That's what I would have
Because today was very muggy when I went out. Because when it rained so hard here, so there was so much humidity in the air. When I got done with work and I went outside at 5, I just thought if I was lifting today, I actually would be in trouble because this is intense.
Yeah.
But no, I think I'll have the weather avoided the rest of the week because it looks like it's cooling down maybe a little bit. I think like in the high 70s, and I'll have like a deadlift day, and then bench is just whatever. It's not as taxing there. Right, having that fan, I'd be screwed if I didn't pick up that fan. That's a absolute necessity.
But you think, do you think with the fan alone, as far as the summertime goes, like 90% of the time, would that be just fine then?
I would think so, because like I said, like I think the temperature in the garage said 84, and it's not like we definitely will get days that are over that, but it's not like every day from here on out is going to be over 86 degrees or over 88 degrees.
No. I think our average temperature in like July is like 85.
Yeah,
and there the average isn't like 93 around, like it gets there sometimes,
and that's in July, and so
that's what I mean. Like our hottest month, like the average is like 86.
And I also do have the flexibility where I was like, if it actually does look like it's starting to get like bad, I'll just
because we could get like that week stretch where it is like 99 degrees.
We could, and if it gets
that,
there, I'll just lift. I'll just go in and lift at 11. Like that's
right.
I have that.
Yeah.
I like now.
You don't have to lift at 2 p.m.
Right. Lately, I've been lifting at like 3:30ish, which is
because even on a day when it gets to be 100 degrees in the morning
I'll
or
just
whatever,
go in the morning. But also, like pretty soon here, I'm going to be in a peaking block, and like your volume's non-existent. You're kind of just sitting around waiting to do a single or a double,
right?
And so you're not getting that sweaty throughout the process.
Yeah, that's true. What else do we want to talk about this week? We're like at 2 hours and 40 minutes.
It's a pretty damn long episode at the moment. We have a lot of things in here, but we could just totally leave these till next week again.
Yeah, I think we better at this point.
Yeah.
So for the sake of this not being a 3-hour episode. Unless you want to do a 3-hour episode.
Nah. Gotta watch my recovery, I got priorities.
I know. One last note, Lift Hard Live Easy Classic is coming up in about 40 days, less than that, and we have been getting shit ready. And I'm not saying that loosely. I know we talked about it last week. It's been another week so far already of just getting shit ready, and we got so much cool stuff planned for anyone that's coming. Like, it is going to be awesome. Like, from an award standpoint, we just ordered 4 more special awards that we didn't even have last year that we are utilizing local artisanal
awards.
Yeah. And that really fit the vibe and the theme this year. And I'm stoked. It's just one more cool thing that people get. We joke about power, lifters getting like way too many awards and stuff like that. Our meet, there is such an excessive amount of awards. Like, that is like every year I want there to be more and more awards, that it's just like, I got like 7 awards this year.
If they weren't so cool, we wouldn't have to keep making them, but there's just so many cool ideas.
We also, little teaser about the Massenomics Hall of Fame. I think we finalized what the very special Ring of Honor, the 15 checklist Hall of Fame member. We're going to have our first of those this summer at the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic is what it's looking like. The first one, it's not official till the hay's in the barn. It's looking like we'll have the first one, and we do have the official award is now I think finalized and should be in production. It is different than what we first alluded to. We upgraded it because we realized just how special it is and rare.
It's definitely more expensive.
To hit this.
That's for sure.
Yes, it's like 25 times more expensive per one, like, probably realistically, but that's how rare and special we think it is. And a plan roughly is the Friday night party. Hopefully we get to present that award along with anyone that's coming that's just hitting their 12 achievement mark too. We'll present them with their special Hall of Fame cup. But hopefully that 15, that one member that's going to hit 15, we should have that pinned down too. And I'm excited about that. That's going to be fun. All right. Is that enough shit then?
I think so.
All right. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
Make sure to leave us a 5. It's not quite enough. I want to make sure to tell everyone to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And even more importantly, go subscribe to the Massenomics YouTube channel. New videos every single week from now until eternity, just like the new podcast every single week. You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.